I'm muted. That's so crazy. All right, let's try this again. Um, to be honest, I didn't do anything different except for restart my internet. So hopefully that will work. If that is what works, then that's crazy. It's already looking a little bit more promising on OBS. I'm seeing, as soon as I say that, it drops into the red, but I was seeing green for a little bit. All right, let's pull it up here. It seems to be running a little bit better. I don't know. It seems to be running a little bit better. That would be truly crazy if just restarting, like unplugging my internet is what did the trick. But hopefully it's working well for you guys. I see we got some people coming back in here. Thank you as always for your patience. Look at that. We had Nick the role model, right? There's that classic patience in the Dr. Pigskin community. Caden says it's lagging, but better, much better. I mean, we'll take it, right? I mean, we'll take it. Yeah, Nick says we're back, baby. All right. Pearchamp asking, hey, Doc, are we back? We got Gabe in here. We got Caden. We got Gabe. We got Pearchamp. We got Nick. We got Jack. We got a freaking squad in here. Let's go. All right. You know what? Even if it's a tiny bit laggy, even if it's a tiny bit grainy, we're going to power through, right? We've got the it factor. We're Tom Brady in the fourth quarter with a bum ankle in the snow in Foxborough. We're going to fight through. And we're going to make this happen because I've got a great freaking stream for you guys tonight. Tonight, we are going to be predicting the entire 2024-2025 NFL season. We're going to pick every single game. We're going to break down every single team. I've got my Super Bowl pick for the year locked in my brain right now. I know it. I know who I'm picking. You guys don't know yet. But you're going to find out tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun and football and laughs. Let's do it. Nick saying, I see you rocking the North Dakota hoodie. I am, right? Horns up, baby. I consider myself a partial NDSU fan. Grew up rooting for the Bison, right? Shout out mile marker, speaking of NDSU. And tomorrow night, North Dakota State. We're going to take down Dion. We'll see. But that is an intriguing game tomorrow night. NDSU versus Colorado. We will be watching. I'm fired up for that one. Oh, gonna have one screen with NDSU Colorado, maybe the other screen, a little NCAA action on the Xbox. Oh, it's gonna be a beautiful Thursday night. You know, Thursday nights of football back on the menu, and we're gonna be doing a lot of Thursday night streams as well. Gabe saying Cody Mock season. It is. Yeah, man. Hey, that Buccaneers offensive line, we're going to be talking about him here in a minute. I did catch a little bit of that Tampa GM press conference today. I was this close to saying something in the chat. Maybe I should have, but I don't know. I totally should have. Maybe I will next time. I'm not going to say what I was going to say because I want to keep it a surprise. But maybe next time the Buccaneers are live on YouTube, I'll say a little something. Caden saying, can I selfishly ask for you to start with some Packers stuff? I got to leave soon. I tell you what, first game we'll hit the Packers-Eagles game in Brazil. How about that? We'll hit that game here first when we dive into this. And Jack saying, Geno Smith throws for exactly 9,167 yards, 68 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Yeah, there's just no way, right? 7? That's way too many, bro. Cut it down to like 3. Hey, Geno Smith is nice, though. I will give you that. Geno Smith is kind of nice, and we'll see about the Seahawks. We'll see how they fare here. But we got a great crew in here, right? I think I already, killed enough time with the whole internet fiasco. So we're going to just dive right in. I'm going to take a swig of water, going to switch screens, and we are going to build out the entire NFL universe straight from my mind to this screen, picking some games, talking some teams. Mile Marker saying, Def, jump in those kinds of chats and get your name out there. Hey, a little bit of marketing, right? Hey, spoken like a true professor. Pearchamp saying, I think the Packers will beat the Eagles as long as the Packers have a kicker. Yeah, that has been a situation that has been going on, the Packers kicking situation. Hey, I know a thing or two about having a Carlson kicker, right? Anders Carlson. Who is the Packers kickers now? I know it's been a bit of a battle here. I'll pull that up. I'll pull up the Packers depth chart here on one of my other screens. Maybe that's why I'm lagging so much, is because I've got like 80 million screens or whatever. I've never heard of this dude in my life. Braden Narvison. I might have butchered his name, but all right. Let's get it started. You guys know the drill. Yeah, you might not actually. A lot of people were not around for this channel when I did it this time last year. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and keep it semi-structured and organized. But for week one, I'm going to give just a nice little breakdown vibe check for each team, right? I'll try not to take too long, but you know, we're going to dive in and just talk about my overall thoughts on the team, how I think they're going to be this year, right? Maybe give a take or two. And then we'll pick the winners. Obviously, I'm not going to do this every week, right? Week 7, I'm not going to give the same speech about the Titans offensive line, but just for week 1 to sort of set the table, we're going to talk about each team. And then from there, we're going to pick the games, right? Not every game is going to be chalk. We're going to be picking some upsets, right? We're going to be building some narratives. We're going to have some conversations and just work our way through the season all the way to the Super Bowl. All the way to the Super Bowl. But we got a poppin' chat in here. Let's go. Caden saying, who knew it'd be harder to replace Crosby than Rodgers? Facts, right? Hey. Well, we'll talk about the Packers here in like 2 seconds, and I'll say what I was about to say. Some guy from the Titans, no more Carlson or Joseph. Yeah, that's right. They had Greg, too. We love Crosby, but guess have to wait another year. All right, here we go. We're going to start for popular request. We do have a few Packers fans in here, right? And shout out Caden saying he's going to pop in here real quick. We're going to start with the Packers, and then from there we'll work left to right. But let's start with Packers, Eagles in Brazil. And to start, let's have the Green Bay Packers conversation. He can't keep getting away with this. He can't keep getting away. How do they keep doing this, bro? How do they keep finding another quarterback? Jordan Love really might be him, man. I know that it was kind of an up and down start to the year, and he had a few bad games, but goodness gracious, man, he turned it on second half. Oh, those young receivers stepping up. This is a nice looking offense. The offensive line is looking good, right? They've got a deep receiver room, like really 1 through 5. They've got Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, still interesting, Jaden Reed. I mean, even Bo Melton's out here making plays. They got 2 tight ends. They bring in Josh Jacobs. The running game still should be pretty good even after losing Aaron Jones. I trust Matt LaFleur with my life at this point, right? I mean, he has really solidified himself as a clear top 5. All right, maybe top 5 for sure, top 10 coach. The big question is the defense, but they do bring in a new defensive coordinator, right? I almost said Greg Heffley. It's what's his name? Something Hafley. Let me look. Jeff Hafley. I almost said Greg Heffley because that's who I think of. But Jeff Hafley comes over from Boston College. Very good chance that it's an upgrade over Joe Barry, who was much maligned by cheeseheads last year. And there is a lot of talent on this Packers defense when you look at it, right? Rashawn Gary, good player, just kind of needs to stay healthy. Kenny Clark, good player. He's been around for a while now, but he still can play. Devontae Wyatt's an intriguing guy at defensive tackle. Maybe a bit more of a gap shooter and a pass rusher, not necessarily like big and stout in the run game, but he had like 6 sacks last year. He's not a bad player by any means, and there's clearly talent, right? And then, they've still got Jair Alexander. Interesting up and down career, but definitely way more good than bad. I mean, there's talented players on this defense. They certainly can be better on that side of the ball than they were last year. This is a very good team that I think can challenge for the NFC North. We'll see. We'll see if they end up winning the division, but I do have an 8-way division winner parlay, and the Packers are a part of it, so I think they're going to be right in it with the Lions to the very end for this division. And they're playing the Philadelphia Eagles in Brazil, right? Who would have thought, right? I mean, just imagine saying a year ago that Saquon Barkley's Eagles debut was going to be on Friday night in Brazil. I mean, it sounds like a bizarro football Mad Libs, but that is the reality that we're living in. And it was a weird reality that the Eagles were living in last year. I mean, man, they start out like, 10-1, coming off a Super Bowl loss. Oh, all the expectations, all the hype, right? They've got all this talent, and then they just completely fall apart. The defense just kind of forgets how to exist. It was terrible. They get embarrassed by the Buccaneers in the playoffs, right? I mean, come on. Shout out Tampa Bay, right? Taking it to the Eagles in the playoffs. Gabe saying better not wear their green uniforms. Yeah, the lore behind that is crazy, right? The Brazilian stadium outlaws green. I think they are going to someone's going to wear green, but we'll see. But Again, still a good looking team. I do think that they might be in for a bit of a quote unquote bounce back year. And bounce back is crazy considering this was a playoff team and they won like what, 10, 11 games last year. But they really did underachieve given the talent on this roster, right? They've still got Jalen Hurts. They've still got a great looking running game. They bring in Saquon Barkley. They've still got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I am a little curious, though, how this team is going to look without Jason Kelce. That is not minor. Like, they lost their best player for all the talk that we've had about the Rams losing Aaron Donald. Like, I feel like the Eagles losing Jason Kelce for how they run their offense, all these inside runs, all this inside zone, all the tush push. Like, you know, I get that like Cam Jurgens has been like their succession plan for a while, and he was good at guard last year. He's not Jason Kelce, man. He's not Jason Kelce. So that is something worth monitoring. They've also got Mekhi Becton starting at guard, which is intriguing, but put him through Jeff Stoutland University. We'll see how that goes. Eagles offensive line coach. They always churn him out. Defensively, they just have to be better than last year, right? There's no way they can be worse. They were 29th in defensive EPA. They do lose Hassan Reddick, but maybe the Jets are losing him too. We'll see how that situation goes. But they bring in Bryce Huff, a guy that I like a lot from the Jets, who could be in line for a monster season should he see a higher snap count. That's not a given, but very good pass rusher, right? They've still got Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, pretty strong up front. The secondary, they're just kind of throwing a lot at it and seeing what will stick. And surely, like, one of these guys has got to be good, right? They bring back CJ Gardner-Johnson. They bring in Quinyon Mitchell in the draft, Cooper DeJean in the draft. It's got to be better than it was last year because they were legitimately bad on defense last year. I think they can have a really good offense and a so-so defense. And they brought in Vic Fangio. So those are my takes on those two teams. Who do I think is going to win this game in Brazil? And like I said, you know, we'll hit all these teams week one, and then after that, it'll be a lot more just picking these games. But I want to kind of take you through each team, right? Let's get a little vibe check on how these teams are doing. Week one, Brazil. Oh, you know, I've been thinking about this one for a while. This one has kind of puzzled me. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'm not going to lie. I really like the Packers, but I'm going to go with the Eagles here. The one thing that does kind of give me a little concern about the Packers still is that run defense. And it might be better with a new defensive coordinator, but man, they're a team that you can kind of run the ball on, and you've seen that the past few years. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I don't know. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a fun game, but give me Philly, right? Not always going to be chalk. Like, I think the Packers are maybe a slightly better team, but give me the Eagles here. Why not? All right. One down. Let's keep this rocking and rolling. Let's go back to the left side here. We've got the Thursday night opener, the kickoff, defending champion Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Baltimore Ravens, a little AFC championship game rematch. I like it. Gabe with the little smiley face. I'm assuming that's a reference to the Buccaneers-Eagles playoff game. Oh, what a game that was. I remember watching that game in Fargo. But let's start with the Ravens. Man, they got so close last year. I mean, this was probably the best team in football last year, right? I know they didn't win the Super Bowl, but their defense was so sick. They had the MVP at quarterback. This was one of the best rushing offenses in the league. They had the most wins in the NFL, right? They dismantled the 49ers. They dismantled the Dolphins. They dismantled the Lions and the Seahawks. They were sick last year. Losing Mike Macdonald is a big deal, man. I am actually a little concerned about that. And it's not just that they lost Mike Macdonald, they lost him, and they also lost two other defensive assistants. They lose Anthony Weaver and Denard Wilson. That is a massive brain drain for a defense that has some talent, but I really think their biggest secret sauce was their scheme. When you go watch the Ravens, it's man, a lot of it is just they got the sack there. That's exactly how they drew it up, right? And it's not that they have bad players on their defensive line. I do think Justin Madubuike is a pretty good player. It's just kind of interesting, though, how all of a sudden he doubles his career high in sacks, and Kyle Van Noy in year 9 sets a career high in sacks, and Jadeveon Clowney in year 10 sets a career high in sacks, you know? And you make a very good point, Jack, that they did promote in-house, right? Zach Orr, right? Hey, we'll see if Zach Orr does have the juice, right? Clearly, he's been in the organization before. He used to play for the Ravens too, which is pretty sick. I wonder, though, does he have the juice that Mike Macdonald and the rest of those guys had? Because I really think that if they want to stay on top as like the best defense in the league, they might need it. I think that there's a chance where they might go from like the best defense in the NFL. The offense still should be pretty good though, right? Year 2 under Todd Monken. I mean, that's like the optimistic thing, right? Is that the offense should be better year 2 with the new offensive coordinator, and power running is back. They got Derrick Henry back in the cut, right? That was the big thing last year is, maybe they didn't run the ball enough, right? Going up against the Chiefs, when they ran the ball, it did work. And then all of a sudden they just kind of didn't do it. And maybe that's why they lost. They seem to really be set on trying to fix that, bringing in Derrick Henry. So let's go, right? Power running for the Ravens is back. I'm here for it. Receivers, they're all right. But I think this is still a pretty good team. Just maybe not like elite that they were last year. But Jack's saying, so essentially what you're saying is the Seahawks will have the best defense this year and will probably never lose again. You know, some are saying. I am curious to see what Mike Macdonald can cook up with that Seahawks defense. They've got a few intriguing pieces. They do. They're an interesting team. The Seahawks have a wide range of outcomes. Caden says, well, you're dead to me, but time for me to go. Adios. Oh, this dude. I picked the Packers to lose once. Oh, don't you worry. When you come back, I'm sure the Packers will have like 10 or 11 wins or something. But Ravens, probably not quite as good as last year, but still a pretty good team. I would say playoff team if I had to take a guess. The Chiefs, however, just might be the very best team in the league, man. I mean, they're running back pretty much the entire operation outside of L'Jarius Sneed, which isn't like nothing. Like, I think a lot of people are kind of glossing over that. Like, well, Sneed's got the injury stuff and maybe he won't be as good. Yeah, that's true. But Joshua Williams, who's probably going to step up, probably won't be as good as Sneed was last year either. I mean, that's not nothing, right? And Trent McDuffie is great, but he's more of a slot guy, right? I mean, they don't have a true outside corner right now. They're just kind of counting on Spags to develop next man up. It's worked before. I don't blame them for trying, especially when you have to choose between that and like keeping Chris Jones, right? You'd probably rather keep Chris Jones, but it is something. But overall, still should be one of the better defenses in the league, right? And then offensively, man, I mean, they went through the trenches with their receivers last year. They bring in Hollywood Brown, might be injured for a little bit, but when he comes back, I think he's going to be good. They bring in Xavier Worthy, and there's talk of the deep ball coming back to the Chiefs. Now, I'll believe it when I see it, right? And some of you guys that are new here might be coming from my how one quarter changed or how one quarter caused the NFL scoring decline, right? The Chiefs stopped throwing deep before they lost Tyreek Hill, right? 2021, they still had Tyreek Hill. That was the first year that Mahomes' ADOT really went down. So, it's not just that, the Chiefs weren't throwing deep because they lost Tyreek Hill. That being said, if they can even hit like 1 or 2 deep shots a game, I mean, that's just so much more fun, right? It's just so much more fun. But the offensive line looks pretty good. Obviously, Mahomes is Mahomes. Kelsey, even if he's on load management, still one of the best tight ends in the world. This Chiefs team is too good, man. I'm picking Kansas City. I'm just a little worried about how this Ravens defense is going to hold up with new coaching. And yeah, who said it? Someone mentioned Patrick Queen. Yeah, it was Nick. I mean, they lost Patrick Queen. They lost Geno Stone. I mean, those aren't big names, but it's something, right? You lose a couple of starters, you lose some defensive coaches, and it's just hard to maintain that level of consistency, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Active chat, though. Let's catch up. Daddy Messi, welcome to the stream. I don't think I've seen you in here before, so welcome. Good to have you in here. Saying, I like the Ravens based on the stakes. Chiefs don't have much pressure to win this. I can see them ease into the division with a strong late season. Ravens win emotionally week 1. I mean, they definitely have way more to play for, right? At this point for the Chiefs, I think if last year's any reminder, like the regular season, they can just kind of screw around and like, all right, we'll just deal with the Kadarius Toney business, and then we'll still win the division, and then we'll just win the Super Bowl, right? I mean, it is pretty crazy, but that's a fair point. But I think I will stick with the Chiefs. Rake Garrett's Productions, another guy who I think he said he was a Falcons fan. He is, saying Falcons 7-10, pick a fullback with the 8th pick would be on brand for this regime, right? 7-10 is crazy though. I don't know. I think Kirko will be all right. We'll see. Gabe saying, do you think Lamar Jackson still has the playoff underperformer tag or not? If he does, what does he need to do this season to shake that tag? Well, I think that the second half versus the Texans really did a lot for him, right? I mean, he balled out in that game. They steamrolled the Texans. They steamrolled them. It was a close game in the first half, but then they pulled away. And I mean, I won't lie. Like, I hate saying like, oh, Lamar's a playoff choker or whatever, right? That Chiefs game was pretty rough, though. I mean, it's been a couple of times now. He's had some pretty rough games. I think it also kind of hurts him, right? You look at his playoff record and like he just doesn't have as many wins. But a lot of that too is that like the Ravens are getting first round buys a lot. And so like that's just one less game for them to play, right? So like even though the Ravens probably would have won in the wild card round this year too, like that's just a win that won't count for him. That won't help his playoff stats because they just quite literally didn't play. I think if you really want him to like shake that narrative, right? If you want like the Colin Cowards of the world to be like, Lamar Jackson, now that's a quarterback that if you're going to fight for the universe, I want him under center. Like, give me 2 playoff wins this year. Give me some good Lamar games in the playoff. Like, give me like a 300-yard Lamar game in the playoffs. That's my challenge to Lamar, as if he cares. But Rye Nasty, another new one in here. Welcome to the stream, saying, I don't understand why the Falcons are getting more wins over this Bucs team that I would say is better. Wow, look at that. Gabe is probably loving the Bucs prop. Let's go. Be a lot of people saying the Bucs are better. Well, we'll have that AFC South conversation in a minute. Jack saying, we all know how the doc reacted to the Penix pick. I'm still flabbergasted. I won't lie. I like Judon and Simmons definitely helped, but oh man, I mean, if you're going to make the Judon and Simmons moves and you're in win now mode, dog, just don't take the guy that's not going to play. Nick saying the Chiefs are the Nuggets of the NFL. Little dynasty going, right? I mean, I would say I like the Splash Bros Warriors comparison because they just keep winning, right? Kelsey is KD and Mahomes is Curry, I guess. And then I don't know who Klay Thompson would be. Yeah, it would make more sense from a vibe standpoint if like Kelsey and Mahomes are the Splash Bros, but Kelsey's better than Klay, right? Oh, I'm loving the activity, though. Jack saying the Lions have the best roster in the league. All right, let's move on here. Got a lot of ground to cover here, but I'm loving all the chatter. All right. Patriots versus Bengals. There's a lot of Patriots Twitter saying that they're going to win this game. I don't know about that. I do kind of like the Patriots defense still, even after losing Bill Belichick and Matthew Judon. It's a very underrated unit, right? And Christian Barmore's health is kind of up in the air too, which I don't love. Like I feel a little worse about this Patriots defense like than I did 2 weeks ago after losing Judon and the Barmore injury and everything. That being said, still kind of got a nice back seven, right? Christian Gonzalez is back. Remember how awesome he was as a rookie before he went down? Jabril Peppers is a dude, right? They've got Marcus Jones, Kyle Duggar. Like, they've got some players back there, right? They've got some underrated linebackers. Gabe, I know you'll like this. How about a Jelani Tavai breakout, right? Like, he's kind of coming to his own there. The offense, man. The offense is a different story. The offensive line is still pretty poor. The receivers are still pretty poor, right? I think if you're the Patriots this year, you want to, 1, see Drake May look pretty good, and 2, you want to hope that you can get at least something out of one of your rookie wide receivers because they took a few, right, in the second and third days of the draft, right? If you can just hit on one of them and just, okay, we have a starter. Not necessarily saying you need a superstar, but just get a starter out of one of them, you feel pretty good. I don't think the Patriots should have crazy high expectations this year. The Bengals, on the other hand, it's starting to feel like it's do or die time for them, man. The clock is starting to tick, right? That salary cap monster is real. Nothing lasts forever, right? Oh, just think about a few years ago, this team was in the Super Bowl and they were young and exciting and we're like, oh, this team's going to be around forever, right? And Joe Burrow, with all of his aura, said, Super Bowl window is open as long as I'm here. Joe, I love the confidence. We're about to see, aren't we? They've lost some pieces on defense. Their defense really fell off last year. This might be the last year of T. Higgins. We're about to see, Joseph. We're about to see. Oh, man. They're an interesting team. I think they have the upside of winning a division still. I don't know how online you guys are, but it's crazy some of the stuff people are on Twitter are saying about Joe Burrow. Like, I get, like, okay, Joe Burrow probably isn't as good as, like, Josh Allen, right? He's probably just not quite as good. But man, there are people, it's like, man, Joe Burrow's actually not that good at all. Like, Joe Burrow can't stay healthy, this, that. It's like, dude, when he's healthy, he's so obviously good. Like, even last year, the 5 games that he was clearly healthy, he was sick. He was dicing teams up. And they won some big games against some good teams, right? They beat the 49ers. They beat the Bills. They should have beat the Texans, but Tyler Boyd dropped the ball. And that was with a very underachieving defense last year. They lost DJ Reader, which I think is pretty significant. I am a little worried about that run defense, but Trey Hendrickson is back. He's a beast. He had like 17 sacks last year. Cam Taylor-Britt's a really underrated corner. And you know what? I've seen some people shouting him out in the comment section of my 1 quarter changing the NFL, causing the scoring decline video, right? Captain Lou still might have the juice. I just find it hard to believe that a Lou Anarumo defense is going to be 27th in defensive EPA again this year. Like, they were a legitimately bad defense last year. I just find it really hard to believe they're going to be that bad again. Parachamp saying he thinks the Bengals get the number 1 seed in the AFC. They have a shot. I really think this team has a shot to take the division back from the Ravens. I think their defense needs to be a little bit better, but yeah, you know, Daddy Messi saying it too. Joe Burrow's his MVP pick. I really think if Burrow and Chase stay healthy this year, and if Jamar Chase plays, and that's another situation, right? He's holding out right now. He's not practicing, even though Zach Taylor said he would. Man, if those two play a full season, it's fireworks, bro. I really think that, like, if Jamar Chase stays healthy, he could lead the league in receiving yards this year. I just think he's gotten so much better as a receiver these past few years. And he was awesome as a rookie, but he's become such a complete player. They put him in the slot more now. He's a matchup nightmare from anywhere. I'm so excited for this Bengals offense if they can stay healthy. Ryan Nasty saying absolutely not the 1 seed. He thinks they lose against the tougher opponents. Look at that, a little discourse going on. Let's go. And Ryan Nasty saying I'm the only one to pronounce his name correctly. That's awesome. And you're here from the 1 quarter video. Well, thank you for joining me, man. I really appreciate it. Welcome to the ride. We're going to have a fun season here. Gabe fell to his knees at Aldi's. No. Get the Aldi's pizza. Yo, we got Johnny in here. Let's go. Vikings winning the Super Bowl. Everyone's sleeping on Sam Darnold. Hey, I kind of agree with you. I don't know about the Super Bowl, obviously, and I know we're riffing here. I think Sam Darnold could be an interesting player this year. He could be an interesting player. That's what I'll say. All right. I'm excited for this next game because these are 2 teams that I've been excited to talk about. Let's start with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, the Jaguars. I just can't seem to quit this team, can I? Oh, I'm not going to do it, am I? Am I back in on the Jaguars? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. I can't lie. I might be back in on them a little bit. We'll see if they make the playoffs, but I think a lot of people are counting them out, and I still think this is a pretty good football team. I know they had a legendary crash out last year, but it's easy to forget what kind of caused all that. This team was 8-3, and then Trevor Lawrence gets hurt and Christian Kirk gets hurt. They lose some games, and they barely missed the playoffs, and it stunk, and it was a gut punch, and I was so excited for this team last year, and they fell a little bit short of expectations. But Christian Kirk and Trevor Lawrence are back, right? They lose Calvin Ridley, but he just never really was that great of a fit, right? They're trying to force him into an X receiver, right? I don't know if you guys watch Alex Rollins, but he made a really good video on that. Just wasn't a good fit. Trying to pretty much turn him into Mike Evans. Didn't work, right? They bring in Brian Thomas. They bring in Gabe Davis. And I know, like, okay, Gabe Davis probably isn't as good as Calvin Ridley, and Brian Thomas might not even be. But I can see the vision with this offense, right? If you think about the most successful Doug Peterson offense, it was the Eagles team that won the Super Bowl, right? And think about how it was built. You had a tall, pretty athletic quarterback who could, kind of move around and make some plays on the run, but also really good at just getting the ball out quick, right? Carson Wentz, Trevor Lawrence, there's a little bit of overlap there. Lawrence is probably a little bit better than Wentz, in my opinion, a little bit more polished. And hey, I'm saying that in the NDSU hoodie, but I'm just calling it how I see it, right? Then they've got the slot receiver, right? Nelson Aguilar, Christian Kirk, right? Then you've got that big X receiver on the outside, Alshon Jeffrey, Gabe Davis. Then you've got the tight end that can go in line or in the slot, Evan Ingram, Zach Ertz. Like I see the vision with this offense. I think this can be a pretty exciting passing offense this year. I am still a little worried about the offensive line, but Anton Harrison showed a lot of promise as a rookie. They bring in Mitch Morse from the Bills. Like, I think this offense can be better. Like, again, like Gabe was saying, they're 8-3. They had the 1 seed at week 12, and then they just got a few unlucky injuries, and yeah, they fell apart a little bit, but I just can't help but think, like, if you go back and watch that week 11 game, I think it was, versus the Texans, they go into Houston and they beat the Texans. Like, oh man, like Trevor played so well in that game. The defense is kind of slept on too, right? They bring in Eric Armstead. They've got a nasty front. Josh Hines-Allen, Eric Armstead, Trayvon Walker, still a bit of a work in progress, but he showed a lot of growth last year. I think you'd be surprised how many sacks he got. Tyson Campbell, they bring him back. Again, just keep waiting on the breakout, but we'll see. I don't think this is a bad team by any means. I think they're a legit playoff contender. I really think that some people are kind of counting out the Jaguars when they shouldn't be. Daddy Messi saying, Doug Peterson's Super Bowl performance has my inner football nerd give them 10 wins a year. Hey, I respect that, right? He was dialed in, spamming those RPOs. Hey, he did the same thing to my Vikings 2 weeks before. Doug Peterson was deep in his bag that year. Oh, yeah, the Niners slander. Jack is a big Seahawks fan. We have a little fun with the Niners. I'm a Niners enjoyer, though. But Nick saying, hey, my bad, but just got to run. Hey, no worries about that. I appreciate you being in here. You take care. Look at that. But Jaguars, I like them. I like their vibes a little bit. They might be back in the good place. They just might be. Let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. Here is the take that I have had cooking in the crock pot really since March. And if you guys have been following this channel or just having casual football conversations with me, you might know what's coming. And if there's any Dolphins fans in here, I'm sorry for what I'm about to do. But I smell something. I smell something. I smell a bit of a crash out. I'm a little scared for this Dolphins team. I don't think they had the best offseason. Losing 2 offensive linemen for an offensive line that already kind of struggled last year. Think about how much they have to get the ball out quickly with all the RPOs and the motion and all that. Some of that is just because, Tua's really good at that stuff and they can hit Tyreek and Waddle on the run. A lot of that is just because, they quite literally do not have time to do full dropbacks. If you try and get Tua on a 5-step drop, he's getting killed. Teron Armstead is their only good offensive lineman. If he goes down, and I'm not counting on injuries, right? That's so lame to say, well, this dude's going to get injured, right? But this team is like a Teron Armstead injury away from having one of the very worst offensive lines in football. They lose 6 starters on defense. Vic Fangio's gone. I know it was a mutual parting of ways, and some of the Dolphins players didn't like him, and I get that. But again, it's not nothing switching schemes, especially with how much of a learning curve it was. Now they're going to go to something else, try with Anthony Weaver. Could be something, but again, they lose some guys. Here's my thing, right? And someone was saying earlier, that the Bengals struggle to beat good teams. All right, here's what I'm going to say. You want to talk about a team that struggled to beat good teams? It's Miami. Here's the thing I keep saying. Last season, counting the playoffs, 7 total games, about half a season, versus teams that finished above 500. 1-6 in those games. And it wasn't just that they were losing those games, but it was how they were losing them, right? It was not just, we gave it our best. It was a shootout, but we got unlucky or our defense sold us and we lost 35-30. No, they were getting blown out and their offense was not good in these games. In those same 7 games, again, about half a season, 7 games against teams that finished above 500. The Dolphins offense scored 15 points per game, I just think that they've boxed themselves in so much. They're so one-dimensional in both their passing game and their running game. when they run the ball, it's outside zone, outside zone, outside zone. And believe me, I love outside zone so much, right? If you've watched the NFL's meta, like I talk about it for like 15 minutes, right? The one downside, and maybe I didn't do a good job of like mentioning this in my video like almost a year ago, right? The one downside to outside zone is when the play doesn't work, right? When it's a bad play, instead of just like, oh, like it's a gain of 1 or 2 yards, like that's an unsuccessful rush. No, you're getting tackled 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That's like a sack, right? Here's another stat for you. Only 2 teams in the entire NFL lost more yards on negative rushes than the Dolphins did last year. Dolphins lost the 3rd most yards in negative rushes. I get that their rush EPA is high and Devon Achane goes for like 9 yards a carry, but they're not very good in short yardage situations. They were 19th in short yardage situations being 2 yards or less, and they were 20th in the league in short yardage situations on 3rd and 4th down. Like, it's just very, like, they don't have a second pitch. They don't have anything else they can do in the running game besides that. And then in the passing game, right, it's just get the ball out quick, Tyreek Hill in motion. Let's hope he goes for 200 yards today, because if he doesn't, we're probably not winning. It's just, you can beat up on the Panthers and the Commanders and the Broncos, but then you put up 14-7 against the Chiefs and 19 against the Ravens and 14-20 against the Bills. And it's like, man, like they haven't shown they can do anything else. And after losing some offensive linemen, like, I don't know, man. I'm just a little nervous about this team. I don't like the vibes. I'm picking the Jaguars. This is one of my upsets for week 1. I really think so. Miami's offense or defensive line is a little wounded, right? They're dealing with some injuries, right? So the Jaguars offensive line will have a little bit easier time. I'm taking the Jags week 1. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in here. Let's go. Asking if I'm back in the crew, doctor. That's crazy. You know what? I am. Let's go, Bucks. Raise the flags. I'm back in the crew. That's crazy. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Dr. Pigskin chat. What a moment for the brand. Oh, welcome to the stream, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Good to see you in here. Good luck with the season. Tell Mike Evans I say hi and that he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. That's amazing. Wow. Look at that. Wow. We got $1.20 chicken tendies. Love the name, by the way. Welcome. I don't think I've seen you in here before, but welcome to the stream. Saying maybe this is putting Tua too high up there, but it feels like a Marino Marks Brothers situation where it's either Reek or Waddle drops off, they're out. Yeah. Oh, man. You know, that was a little before my time, but was it Mark Duper and Mark Clayton, Dan Marino? What an offense that was. Oh, that's one team I wish I could have went back and watched. I mean, I guess we have the internet, which is a wonderful library of everything. But Parachamp says he thinks the Dolphins get the 7 seed with the Jets winning the division and the Bills, 3 teams in the AFC. You know, Jack hinted at it earlier. Honest to goodness, I think the Dolphins missed the playoffs. That's like my big spicy take. I think Miami misses the playoffs. I think they're going to be the disappointment of this year. Honest opinion. We'll see, though. I could be wrong. Like, they clearly have talent. I'm just not moved by them. I don't know. People loving the Tampa Bay Buccaneers showing up in here. Let's go. We got Eric R. in here, too. Yeah, let's go. Welcome back, Eric R. Good to see you in here. Yeah. All right. Oh, boy. Here comes another one. All right. Texans versus Colts. This is a big game, right? Let's talk about the Texans first, right? They're the offseason darlings. They bring in Diggs. They bring in a few other guys, too, like Azeez Al-Shaair, right? That is a big football hipster darling right there. NFL Twitter loves Azeez Al-Shaair, and he's played with DeMeco Ryans before, right? They bring in Danielle Hunter, right, coming off the edge, replacing Jonathan Grenard. A bit of an upgrade there, right? Clearly the better player. Maybe not quite as much as some people think. I really do like Jonathan Grenard. Easy for me to say as a Vikings fan, right? But, I mean, he is clearly the better player, and he makes more sense for what Houston wants to do. They're kind of trying to win now on CJ's rookie contract, and I don't blame him. I like the Texans a lot. I think they're a very good team. Maybe I'm being Captain Hot Take here, and we're going to go back-to-back with, like, 2 of my spicier takes, but I think this Houston team is very good. I still think they have a very good shot to win the division. I still think they're going to be in the playoffs. I don't think they improved quite that much. I don't know. Like, I'm still concerned with their rushing offense. I know they brought in Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon in 2024 doesn't excite me as much. I don't know. The offensive line should be healthier, though. That will probably help. They had like one of the most injured offensive lines in football last year. Obviously, bringing in Diggs is an addition, like the 1, 2, 3 of Diggs and Collins and Tank Dell. I mean, that's just ridiculous, right? That's just insane, I mean, ridiculous. CJ Stroud is obviously really good, right? And the defense is still pretty good, but their secondary did give up a lot of big plays last year. I think it was 7th most explosive plays given up through the air. And there's a few games where they kind of got picked apart. You think about, hey, shout out the Buccaneers, right? Baker Mayfield kind of had his way with him. Joe Burrow kind of had his way with him a little bit. The Ravens steamrolled them twice. Like, I just don't think they're quite there. I think this is a very good team. I think when it's all said and done, though, they're going to be similar to last year in that they'll be a 10-win team and make the playoffs. I'm a little hesitant to jump on the Texans win 14 games and light the world on fire train. $1.20 Chicken Tendies loves the Texans, though. I like it. First AFC Championship game appearance. Hey, even if they win 10 games, that's still very much in play, Like, this team could get hot and just, like, go on a run. Absolutely. The talent is there. The coaching is there. Let's talk about the Colts. I see Parachamp's comment in here. This is the 2024 team of Dr. Pigskin. This is our Colts. This is our team. Let's go, right? We bleed blue. If you know, you know. The Colts are the team of Dr. Pigskin. This is the team that I'm quote-unquote bandwagoning to. This is my hipster team, right? I am fired up for the Colts this year. And you know what? Let's talk a little Anthony Richardson. Parachamp is saying hottest take he's got is Anthony Richardson is going to be worse than Bryce Young. Ooh. I will tell you this. Anthony Richardson, I didn't think he was that bad in that preseason game. The interception was rough, but it was maybe a little bit of a miscommunication between him and the tight ends. The accuracy is still not there yet. Like, he's got such a strong arm, but he just hasn't quite been able to rein it in or control it fully. But he's so ridiculously talented. And Shane Steichen is just such an unbelievably good coach that I think that they're going to make this work. This could be one of the, this could seriously be like the best rushing offense in the NFL this year. Stupidity's in here too. And he's loving the A.R. Stroud take. You know what? That is hot. I think he'll be close. I think Stroud is just so far ahead. Like, it'll be a very high bar for him to clear for Stroud, but I think Richardson can get there. I am not quite there with Richardson over Stroud, but I think he can really make up some ground this year. I'm so excited for him. He just needs to stay healthy. If he stays healthy, this Colts offense is going to be so sick. They have Michael Pittman. Josh Downs is hurt. Hopefully he'll be back soon. They bring in A.D. Mitchell. The offensive line is back to being elite. This is such a sick offense. The defense, the front seven looks great. The secondary is still a little concerning. This was a team that I really wish traded for L'Jarius Sneed, man. If they would have got Sneed, I would have said some irresponsible things about the Colts. But even in the secondary, they still got Kenny Moore, right? Really good slot corner, right? They've still got Julian Blackmon. All right, that's a guy that can play, right? Juju Brents was interesting at corner last year, but this front four in particular, right? I mean, Kwity Paye, Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner. They bring in Laiatu Latu. Goodness gracious, that is a sick pass rush right there. And then even like Zaire Franklin is kind of a dog at linebacker. I think their defense can be all right, and this offense is going to be sick. I agree with you, Ryan Nasty. A.D. Mitchell is such a sleeper at receiver. It's kind of crazy that he fell to round 2. The talent there is so obvious. There's maybe some character concerns, but hey, in Shane we trust. In Shane we trust. Josh Downs' injury is big. I will give you that, though. I do think their running game is good enough. They can tread water and get through it a little bit, but I do love me some Josh Downs. All right. Here's the back-to-back hot takes. It's kind of crazy. I promise I'm not going to be that crazy off the rails. I'm picking the Colts in this game. I really am. Maybe this is crazy, specific nitpicky thing. Here's what I'll say though. A big reason why I think the Colts can win this game is, one, they were honestly right there with the Texans last year. They beat them in their first matchup, and their second matchup with Gardner Minshew, mind you, Like the Colts were a dropped pass away from potentially taking the lead and winning that game. Like with Gardner Minshew for most of the season, the Colts were kind of right behind the Texans, and they beat them in one game and then they played them close in the other, right? The thing that I have burned in my mind from when they played, though, is Jonathan Taylor going for like 180 yards on this Texans defense. And they were pretty good against the run last year, but they lost both of their starting defensive tackles. And then Danico Autry, the guy that they brought in to be the replacement, good player, is suspended for 6 games. Like, as crazy as this might sound, right, but this is what you're not going to get from the other guys. Danico Autry not playing in this game, I think is like a genuine big deal. And I really think Indy's going to be able to run the ball. And you know what? This offense is looking nice. Give me the Colts in an upset week 1 to really start the season off. Let's go. All right. Ryan Asty picking Houston because he thinks they are more ready week 1 than the Colts with AR coming back. You know, fair enough, right? There is a world where it's a little bit sloppy. There's maybe a bit of a learning curve, but I really think Indy matches up well with Houston. And even if AR isn't locked in as a passer, I could see a big game on the ground for the Colts. Richardson and Taylor is just going to be so nasty this year. Oh, Stupidity is scared of the Colts week 1 curse, though. I don't think I'm familiar with that, actually. You'll have to enlighten me with that. Let's talk about the Raiders and the Chargers. All right, we're going to make some progress here. And again, once we get through all these teams, then we're going to start picking a little bit quicker here. But shout out to the community coming through here. We've had an awesome turnout for this stream, man. I'm so excited for the season. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Seriously, it means so much to me. Oh, man. You know me. I got to keep that water on me when I'm talking so much. All right, Raiders and Chargers. The Las Vegas Raiders. You know, I respect their attitude, right? They bring in Antonio Pierce as their head coach. They got the little interim coach Pop, right? Defense was pretty sick under Antonio Pierce, and they said, you know what? Let's bring in Christian Wilkins, too, while we're at it. I think this could be a pretty good defense this year, if I say so myself. Christian Wilkins, Max Crosby, and even Malcolm Kuntz. Like, that is just a disgusting front right there. Could see a lot of sacks from Max Crosby. Like, for the first time in his career, he has help. Like, he has help, you know? It's pretty incredible. Like, I'm pretty excited for this Raiders defense, and Jack Jones, too. Big breakout candidate, in my opinion. I mean, he was pretty nice with the Patriots, but then character concerns, and he gets cast off. But, man, he is a playmaker. He's a ball hawk. He is a Raider through and through. I love his attitude. If he can just kind of sort some things out off the field, I really think he's a good player. I do. The offense concerns me a little bit. I like their offensive line enough. Losing Josh Jacobs, I think, kind of hurts. I'm not moved by this Zamir White, Alexander Madison backfield, but we'll see. The pass catchers are not bad, though. They've got Devontae Adams still. They've got Jacoby Myers. They bring in Brock Bowers. They've also still got Michael Mayer. That's not a bad group of pass catchers. I think the Raiders are a team that could find themselves being like a QB away a year from now. Maybe not like a QB away from the Super Bowl. My Raiders take is that if Dak Prescott doesn't sign with the Cowboys again next year, I would love to see Dak on the Raiders. I think that would be such a good fit, and that they would be a borderline. They might be a playoff team with Dak Prescott. I think that would be so much fun. Hey, to your point, Daddy Messi, like, I want Antonio Pierce to succeed so badly. Like, they don't make too many coaches like him these days. I really want it to happen. Let's talk about the Chargers. We've got some Chargers conversations already. The Chargers defense scares me more than the offense, says Jack, and it will be a bleak year for the Chargers. It is a rebuild, and I think a lot of people might need to recognize that a little bit, right? They get Jim Harbaugh. They've got the quarterback in Herbert. And I think a lot of people are like, here we go, right? Chargers are back. It might take a few years. I mean, they kind of ate their vegetables this offseason, right? They get rid of both of their top wide receivers. The receiver room is rough. I mean, man, even after getting Ladd in the draft, it's bad. It's bad. But I do like the Joe Alt pick. They've got Rashawn Slater, too. They've got some attitude up front. This could be an improved offensive line, and they need it because Herbert was getting killed back there, and they couldn't run the ball at all. I love how the Chargers have gone from, like, being the Chargers to, like, they're all of a sudden the Jim Harbaugh show, the ground and pound experience, right? Their defense looks pretty bad, though. The roster is pretty bad. And I like the hire of Jesse Minter as defensive coordinator enough. Like, he kind of comes from the Mike McDonald tree, right? They might do a lot of similar stuff, but they just don't have the talent. They've got a few interesting pass rushers. I mean, Khalil Mack had a sick year out of nowhere last year, even though like 8 of those sacks came from those 2 Raiders games. But they're interesting enough, right? If Joey Bosa's healthy, he's good. He's just never healthy. But man, again, it feels like it's the same story with the Chargers every year. You can run the ball all day on these guys. Oh, I'm tempted to pick the Chargers. I think I am going to pick the Chargers. I don't know. I just love their coaching so much. Herbert is good. I think they're going to find a way to get some ugly wins. I don't know. I like the Raiders too. I think these two teams are going to be fighting for second in the division. That's what I'll say. I honestly think they're pretty even. I don't hate if you want to go with the Raiders though. Let's go. We got Michael in here. We got both the Doty boys in here. Let's go. Saying, guess who's finally off work? How was it? Good to see you in here. Welcome to the stream, Michael. And I tell you what, we're going to be talking about your Steelers here in a sec. Let's go. Ryan Nasty saying, I just have to see what they look like before I have an opinion. Raiders by 10. That's fair. The Chargers are a bit of a mystery. They are. All right, Titans and Bears. Here we go. We've made it to the middle row. Talking about the teams. Tennessee Titans. You know what? They're another team. I love the attitude. The Titans are trying, right? I feel like I've said this a few times now. This Titans team ain't going to roll over, right? They're not just going to be roadkill in the middle of the street. They made a lot of moves this offseason. They're the team that ended up getting Snead. They also bring in Calvin Ridley. They just traded for Ernest Jones yesterday, which from Moran's perspective, that's not one that I love necessarily. I don't know exactly what the Rams are doing there. Les Snead knows more than I do. That's what I'll say. But I don't know. But honestly, if you just play a little game of count the good players for the Titans, you can get a few for the Titans. And you know what? I've been pounding this all off season. Do not sleep on this Titans offensive line. They have been bad for a few years now, but they bring in the Callahan family, offensive lineman royalty. They bring in J.C. Latham. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's a clip on Twitter. Some guy posted, don't remember his name, but it was a clip of J.C. Latham and Peter Skoronski just doing a sick double team. And I know it's preseason, but it's like, hey, this Titans offensive line has got some attitude now. They're obviously going to miss Derrick Henry. Tyjae Spears and Tony Pollard is an interesting backfield combination because they seem a little redundant. Two kind of similar players, but hey, we'll see, right? You know, the offensive line for the Titans might not be perfect. I think it's going to be a lot better, though. I think it's going to be a lot better. And it's just kind of operation see what you have with Will Levis, right? I mean, you've got Ridley, Tyler Boyd, DeAndre Hopkins. Unbelievable wide receiver room in 2018. Maybe not quite as good now, but it's better than what they've been trotting out since they lost A.J. Brown. So you'll take it, right? And I'm genuinely curious to see how Brian Callahan is going to do because I wonder how much of Jake Browning's success was kind of Callahan taking the wheel last year. I think Callahan has the chance to be a very underrated hire for the Titans. And defensively, they've got some guys still, right? Again, just count the good players. Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry, Ernest Jones, L'Jarius Sneed. Like, that's not bad. That's not bad. They're probably not quite there to being like a team with a winning record, but I like them. I like the Titans. I like that they're trying. Why not, right? See what you have in Levis. Unlike the 10% chance that Levis goes off, hey, all of a sudden you feel pretty good. And if he doesn't, like if he just looks bad this year, then you can be like, all right, we tried. Now we got to reevaluate our options, but at least we set him up to succeed. So they're in a good spot. They're kind of playing with house money this year. They can be an agent of chaos. I feel like that's just perfect for the Titans. I mean, obviously, if you're a Titans fan, like you'd want them to win, but like there's a pesky little Titans team. That might sound patronizing, but I will always respect a pesky little Titans team. The Bears hope they can be a little bit more than pesky. This is a team with great expectations. I mean, you win the lottery. You get Caleb at quarterback. And then, as I said in my most recent video, shout out to the Bears for saying, you know what? Caleb is not enough. We are going to bring in Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze to join DJ Moore. Even if Keenan Allen is like 500 pounds now or whatever, like, I mean, we'll see. My guess is week 1, Keenan Allen is still going to find a way to get open. Maybe he's declining, but we'll see. I'll have to see it to believe it. Oh, Jack's favorite coordinator's on the Bears. That's right, Shane Waldron. Yeah, you know what? There's going to be a lot of designed rollouts. There's going to be some RPOs. There's going to be some deep shots down the field. But that kind of sounds like a good fit for a Caleb Williams offense. I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what? I'll say this. If the Bears disappoint, Shane Waldron could be a big reason why. I am buying low. I'm buying the dip on Shane Waldron. We'll see. If Shane Waldron turns out he really is that bad, then I will eat a lot of crow. I know we've had our Shane Waldron conversations before. I'm buying the dip on Shane Waldron. I think this offense has the chance to be absolute box office this year. I say this as a Vikings fan, right? I'm a Vikings fan, but Dr. Pigskin is also just a neutral football enjoyer, right? As a neutral football enjoyer, I'm so excited for the Bears this year. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but it's going to be fun to have the Bears be good again. It's going to be fun. Chicago's deserved this. They've been starving for a quarterback for so long. And you know what? The defense ain't that bad either. They might not be quite as good as their second half surge was last year, benefiting from, playing maybe a weaker schedule, but I don't think they'll be bad. A lot of people are calling for Matt Eberflus's head. I think this is an average defense with a high ceiling. I mean, they've got some good players. I mean, they've got a lot of talent in the secondary, especially Jalen Johnson's a dude. He's an absolute dude. And it's kind of crazy how as soon as they get one serious pass rusher in Montez Sweat, all of a sudden the defense starts playing kind of solid. Got some good linebackers, TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. I'm taking the Bears, dude. I think the Bears might be a playoff team. I know there's Shane Waldron and Matt Eberflus, but there's just so much talent on this team. I am truly excited for the Bears. All right, here's a fun one. The Steelers and the Falcons. The Arthur Smith Bowl. I feel like this is a very underrated storyline that not a lot of people are talking about. And I've been talking with some of my friends who are Falcons fans, and they agree. They're fired up for this game. Arthur Smith, week 1, coming back to Atlanta. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Out of all the Mike Tomlin Pittsburgh Steelers teams, this is the Mikiest, Tomliniest, Pittsburghiest, Steelersiest team there possibly is. They're going to run the freaking rock and play some defense. Man, they load up on the offensive line in the draft, right? Bringing in 3 different rookies. Some moves that I really like on top of Broderick Jones last year, who I thought was pretty good. Go Dogs, right? They've got a nice 2-man backfield with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. Little thunder and lightning action. I said the Colts could be the best rushing team in the league. I think the Steelers are another candidate to have the most rushing yards by a team in the NFL. Now, they did announce that they're starting Russ just today. I get it, right? I mean, if he just earned the job, Justin Fields did have a pretty rough preseason. It's just the same issues with him, right? He just can't see the field very well. He just holds on to the ball too long. It's just the same stuff. And it's so frustrating because I would love to see Justin Fields in this offense. Dude, he could run for 1,100 yards in this offense, but he just doesn't have it. So I get it. I don't think Russ is really that much better than Fields, but you just got to do what you got to do, I guess. But I'm worried about the quarterbacks, and I'm worried about the wide receivers. It's really just George Pickens and vibes, right? That's been the talk all offseason. I get why they lost Deontay Johnson, right? Attitude issues and everything. They had to move on, and this is a team with a track record for developing wide receivers, but it's George Pickens, and then you got Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin. I don't know. I don't know, Jim. The defense is so nasty, though. Larry Ogunjobi, Keanu Benton, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, and that's just the front. Lord have mercy. Hide your quarterbacks. I had my first fantasy draft last night. There's a reason I took the Steelers for my defense. Lord have mercy. Secondary, it's hit or miss, right? They've got Joey Porter Jr., who had a very promising rookie season. Minkah Fitzpatrick has had a very up and down career, but again, way more good than bad. But They've got Dante Jackson starting too. So, but I do think this could be like a top 10 defense, a top 10 running game, but also like a bottom 5 passing game. It's an interesting mix. Parachamp saying the Steelers are going to break the streak and have a negative record. There is a chance. You don't get rich doubting Mike Tomlin though, do you? I don't know. This team might push the limits. Look at that. Ryan Nasty took the Steelers defense too. Let's go. $1.20 Chicken Tendy saying a track record for developing elite wide receivers with 10-cent heads. A little bit. Maybe a little bit. They try their best, I guess. Oh, Antonio Brown, what could have been. Russell Wilson's height is only getting more problematic with his mobility declining. That's a very good point. And you know what? I feel like not a lot of people have said that, but that is absolutely true. It's not even just his play style. And he tries to play like he's still 24 years old, and he just can't do that anymore. But yeah, his height, I mean, he struggles to hit the middle of the field. And that's why it's like interesting, because that's what Arthur Smith does, is he likes to attack the middle of the field off of play action. It's very Shanahan-y. He's not quite a Shanahan guy. He's like an evil Shanahan offshoot a little bit. He's got a little grumpy scientist to him, but I think they'll run the freaking ball a lot this year, but I am worried about the passing game. Oh, man. I saw we had a Steelers hater in here too, right? Oh, did I miss that? Anyways, but the Falcons. They play the Falcons. Oh, this should be a win now team, right? But I guess not. They bring in Kirk. Big move, right? I mean, anything's better than the toddler, right? The toddler driving the Ferrari. Ay. But they have Kirk. Upgrade. Massive upgrade. I know there's the injury concerns, but you know what? I think he's got a chance to be pretty good with the Falcons this year. He fits in with their offensive scheme. Speaking of Shanahan, guys, excuse me. Right? Zach Robinson, the OC, coming over from Sean McVay and the Rams. Right? Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. Should be a pretty good offense. I know we've had some Falcons questioning it earlier, but there is no denying there's talent on this team. I am quite worried about the defense, though. Even after they brought in Judon and Simmons, like it's just, I don't know. Like I just think, I still worry about their ability to get after the quarterback. And Judon is good, but he hasn't been healthy recently. And if he does go down again, like they're in such big trouble. Simmons and Bates is nice. It's going to be cover 2 all day, right? 2 high all day with Raheem Morris, those 2 safeties. I like that a lot. And then AJ Terrell. Okay, I feel a lot better about the Simmons move than the Judon move, as weird as that may sound. Because I feel like the secondary, I feel pretty comfortable with now. The pass rush still concerns me. I think this defense is all right. I don't know. Like, I get that, like, some metrics had them being good last year. They had such an easy schedule. They will again this year. I don't think this defense is anything special. The offense is maybe not special, but it's good. Michael's saying, no way the Steelers team has a losing season. I mean, it's football law, right? They just can't. Parachamp asking if I want to do the Community Fantasy Football League or if it's too late. I will say, and I'll take some responsibility for this, I think it might be too late at this point. I've got a pretty busy week after tonight, and I think it'd just be hard to organize. However, as a consolation and as something that you actually suggested last year, this is something that I'm for sure doing, and I'm really excited for it, and I'm going to probably send out a link for it here after we're done with this stream. We are going to be rolling out the Dr. Pigskin Pick'em Challenge. Everyone from the Dr. Pigskin family is welcome to join, and I tell you what, the person who picks the most games right at the end of the season when it's all said and done is going to get a nice little prize from me. So thank you for bringing that up. We are going to be doing a Dr. Pigskin Pick'em Challenge this year. Thought that'll be nice, right? We can get everyone involved. It's super easy. Just pick the games every week. Winner gets a prize at the end of the year. I like that. I'll send out the link. Mile Marker's liking it too. Yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So we will do that. And then maybe next year we'll do a little fantasy football league. We got Christine in here. Let's go. Saying hi, doctor. Welcome to the stream, Christine. Good to have you in here. Hope you had a nice night. And thanks for making it out. We just finished talking about the Falcons, believe it or not. We're about to pick the Falcons and Steelers game. Laywell's in here too. Let's go. Hey, no worries for being late. Don't worry about it. We just like when people can make it when they can, right? We're all busy people. Appreciate you making some time for me, though, Laywell. Welcome to the stream. We're predicting the entire season. I'm doing my team breakdowns, and then we're going to speed up with the picks a little bit. But people are enjoying the Pick'em Challenge. Keep your eyes peeled for a community post and a tweet. I will be dropping that once we're done here tonight. You guys can sign up. I'm excited, and I'll tease a few more things throughout the rest of the week because we've got some exciting stuff coming up for the season. But, all right, enough beating around the bush. Wow, I don't know why I said it like that. Steelers, Falcons in Atlanta. I know I'm not going to do it. I'm picking the Steelers. Arthur Smith revenge game. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game than some people think. And I'm worried about the Falcons holding up against this physical Steelers team. That is going to be a theme throughout a lot of these picks. I love my battle in the trenches. I'm picking the Steelers. They might get some pressure on Kirk. Hey, I know better than anyone, right? Kirk is great when you give him a clean pocket. When he gets a little pressure, that's when things start to go haywire. And the Steelers defense is just so nasty. I think they're going to win an ugly one. I'm not picking against the Falcons often, though. All right, here we go. Jack, this is the one that you're hyping up. You said your upset pick for week 1 was Cardinals over the Bills. Well, let's talk about it, shall we? Arizona Cardinals. This is another little hipster team, right? They've got a little bit of pop, right? You know, they bring in Marvin Harrison Jr. They've got like NFL Twitter legend Greg Dortch at wide receiver. Like they've got a very interesting offense. Kyler's back. I love Kyler. I think he's really good. The running game is sick. Like Drew Petzing, get ready to learn Drew Petzing's name if you aren't familiar already. He is going to be a hot head coaching candidate going into next season. That's my prediction. I thought he did a great job last year. And this Cardinals running game was so good. They developed their offensive linemen well. They bring in Marv. They've got Kyler. This is a fun-looking offense. Trey McBride at tight end. I think this offense can put up points. They still might have one of the worst defenses in the league, though. I mean, this is why I still think they're a year away from being a year away. Like, they're a fun, young, exciting team. I think the vibes will be good. They play hard for Jonathan Gannon, and I honestly thought he did as well as he could with their personnel. Man, I'm sorry. They just don't have a lot of talent on defense. They really don't. I think they're gonna have some games where they're giving up 30 and 40. I don't know. They got torched last year, and there's only so much you can do in one offseason, right? I don't know. I'm not loving the defense. Going up against the Bills in Orchard Park, right? I think I got that right. Highmark Stadium. The Bills have been a fascinating conundrum, right? Oh, they did it again. They lost to the Chiefs again in the most cruel way possible. A missed field goal. The two most dreaded words in all of Buffalo. Wide right. Oh, heartbreaking. I felt so bad. I was rooting for the Bills last year, man. Their wide receiver core isn't unknown, right? That's the big story. Diggs is gone. I don't think they're going to fall off as much as some people think. I think this team has completely remade its identity. Like, they went through some growing pains last year. They changed offensive coordinators, right? This is a good running team all of a sudden. You know, James Cook, maybe a bit of an offensive line merchant, but still, I think a pretty good back. And the offensive line looks pretty strong. This might be the best offensive line that Josh Allen has ever had, right? They've done such a good job developing their young guys. They've started to finally hit on some of their draft picks. And you know what? They don't have Diggs, but I don't hate Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, and Dalton Kincaid. I don't hate that. I like Khalil Shakir a lot. I'm not going to lie. I like him a dangerous amount. I think Khalil Shakir could be the wide receiver one in the sense that, like, he leads the team in receiving. He might crack like 1,000 yards this year. And Josh is just so good. And you know what? It might take time for things to develop. They could start slow, and hey, maybe that's why they lose week 1 to the Cardinals. But I'm not out on the Bills at all. I will say defensively, losing Matt Milano again stunk. Oh, I was so excited for him to come back, and now he might be out until December, right? But this was a very good defense last year, even after losing a lot of guys to injury. Like, you know, Trey White is gone. But, like, man, Trey White, like, hasn't played for the Bills the past few years. He's been injured all the time, right? Like, okay, Poyer is gone, right? Micah Hyde is gone. It's tough, right? But like, they just haven't been playing as much, right? Christian Benford is a pretty underrated corner. He really stepped up in a big way last year. Greg Rousseau stepped up in a big way last year, right? Daquan Jones and Ed Oliver have blossomed into really good guys. And you know what? Sean McDermott, I almost said Sean McVay. Sean McDermott took over play calling duties for the defense. I thought he did a pretty good job. I think this Bills defense has the chance to hover around top 10. I don't know if they'll quite crack the top 10. I think it's pretty good. And you know what? They almost beat the Chiefs last year. They could have won that game. I don't know. It would not shock me if this team was hosting another playoff game come January. There are maybe a few concerns. It might take time to develop, but I've said my Dolphins piece, right? The Jets are a mystery. We'll get to them in a minute. I trust the Bills so much. I trust their coaching. I trust their quarterback. I trust their defense, and I like the line a lot. I think they've got the ingredients to still be like an 11-12 win team. I really think last year was kind of the year where things were weird. They lost all these close games, and then they still turned it on at the end. The Bills have earned my respect 110%. Just as long as the offense isn't Josh chucks it deep or scrambles. Yeah, I mean, it does get a little out of structure sometimes, but I think that's what they're hoping that a more consistent running game is going to do for them. I mean, James Cook was sick down the stretch. Like, remember when they beat the tar out of the Cowboys in December and Josh threw 10 passes? They actually have the ability to do that now, and I think that's going to go a long way. This is maybe not the best Bills team under Allen, but I think it's the most balanced. They can win in different ways now, and that excites me. I'm not counting them out. Bills by 14, I can get down with that. I just struggle to believe that this Cardinals defense can hold up against Josh, but we'll see. All right. Get ready, Jack. We're about to talk about the Seahawks after we talk about the Denver Broncos. If you know, you know. Broncos. Coach, what are Denver Broncos? Where are the Broncos? Sorry. I won't lie. I pull up the depth chart sometimes just to jog my memory a little bit. I had a few notes typed up, just doing stuff, just passing the time a little bit. But, the Broncos. Man, I'm sorry if there's any Broncos fans in here. And maybe this is a backhanded compliment. This might be the most average team that I've ever seen in my life. It's not even I look at this and I think, oh my gosh, they're so bad, they're so terrible. There's just very little that jumps out to me when I look at this team. There's what are the strengths? Okay, Pat Surtain is awesome, probably one of the 3 best corners in the league. Cool. What else? Okay, Quinn Miners is really good. What else? Cortland Sutton, Josh Reynolds, and Marvin Mims are their receivers. Bo Nix, who, I got pranked so hard about him during the draft, and that should tell you, I don't know. I think Bo Nix is fine. I don't know. I think he's a very average, I don't know. I'm not, fired up about Bo Nix, and I don't think that, the supporting cast around him is anything crazy. It's going to be Sean Payton cooking. That's how the Broncos are going to have to, work on offense. Man, there's just no explosiveness whatsoever, Broncos keeping only 5 wide receivers. That is interesting, isn't it? Yeah, it's those 3. And then Devon Vile, might have said his name wrong. And then rookie Troy Franklin. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's not even this is they have any glaring weaknesses. It's just a bunch of C minuses across the board. And I don't know. I get they kind of had to do it, right? The Russell Wilson contract just kind of put him in such a terrible hole. But, going up against the Seahawks, they're an interesting team. I hinted at this earlier. They have a very wide range of outcomes. I will tell you this, Jack, Seahawks win. There is a world where this team makes the playoffs. I'm not going to count it out. I don't know if I'm quite there with they are going to make the playoffs, but I think there's a world. They have the talent. Geno Smith, people can say what they want. I still thought Geno Smith played pretty well last year. The offensive line did him no favors. They bring in Ryan Grubb, who did a lot of fun stuff at Washington as OC. Let's see it, right? I still am very worried about the offensive line, though. They're going to need to stay healthy. I get Charles Cross was hurt some last year. I don't know. Their offensive line doesn't excite me. But the receivers are really good, right? Geno Smith. Then you've got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and JSN, who I think could be in line to take the next step this year, right? I will give you that. I will say the biggest ward of Shane Waldron was how, excuse me, how he used JSN. Just started coughing for no reason. Well, I mean, I know why. I've been talking a lot and I haven't had water, and Kenneth Walker's a good back too, He is. This is a very intriguing and exciting offense, and if their offensive line shows up and performs even decently, it could be really good. Defensively, losing Uchenna Nwosu, that's a tough break. Hopefully he can come back at some point. But they do have some interesting talent there still, right? Like Leonard Williams, okay, nice, right? Jaron Reed, okay, nice, right? Boya Mafe, okay, nice. Devin Witherspoon, oh, he was so good as a rookie. Mike McDonald might have a plan for him. Reek Woolen, maybe a little bounce back season on the menu, right? There are some good players on this defense, and Mike McDonald is a great coach. I'm not the only one that screws this up. Ben Solak does that all the time. The Seahawks have a lot of talent. The offensive line scares me, but man, they're going to win this game. They're going to win this game for sure. In Seattle, too. Yeah, Connor Williams was a big deal, right? And that was one of the linemen that the Dolphins lost. It was a nice addition. Yeah. Christian Haynes in the draft. Byron Murphy, bro. How did I forget about him? Their first round pick. Yeah. Broncos are a big question mark. Yeah. I mean, they are, right? Did they upgrade their offensive line? They did. I mean, Quinn Miners has really turned into a good player, and they made a bunch of moves on the line last year, but Laywell saying, don't know much about the Seahawks other than my guy Kenneth Walker, who's a dog for my fantasy team. Love that guy. He's such an electric runner, and sometimes he gets himself in trouble and tries to do too much. Oh, but when it works, it works. And again, he hasn't been running behind the greatest offensive line. He's kind of just had to, Kayvon Wallace, too. Look at the deep pulls from Jack. I love it. Our Seahawks correspondent. Let's go. I'm not going to lie. I didn't even know that Kayvon Wallace was on the Seahawks. So thank you for that. Seahawks correspondent. Let's go. Look at that. We got a network of fans here. Yeah. All right. We're cruising through. Here we go. This is a sleeper game right here. Cowboys-Browns. The Cowboys' big thing this offseason has been Jerry's asleep at the wheel, right? Sleepy Jerry. They finally got one deal done. They finally brought back CD. Oh, man, they needed to. Because outside of CD, it's kind of thin for their wide receivers. I mean, Brandon Cooks is kind of starting to... there's some washed allegations going on around him. And then okay, Jalen Tolbert, fine, I guess. He's fast. But Jake Ferguson I like a lot. You know me and my love affair with Dak Prescott, right? We backed Dak after the 49ers game last year, and it paid off big time. He played like an MVP at times last year. Dak Prescott is an awesome quarterback, right? The running game was disappointing last year. Now they've got Zeke and Dalvin Cook and Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle's probably the best back there. He's probably the best back there. Defense, very interested to see what Mike Zimmer does here. Mike is back in the league, and you know what? As a Vikings fan, I love it. I love seeing Mike Zimmer back in the NFL. Let's give him a chance, right? He doesn't have to be the head coach now. He can just be the grumpy defensive mastermind, right? And he's got some talent to work with here. Micah Parsons. Talk about a defensive player of the year candidate. Year in, year out, one of the best in the business. Man, I think it was Deron Bland went down a few days ago, but Trayvon Diggs is back, so we'll see about that. And the Cowboys just always seem to develop these DBs, right? Al Harris University, their defensive backs coach. Packers legend, Al Harris. They've been churning them out, so we'll see. Maybe it's next man up. I'm a little worried about that run defense, though. Right? They brought in Mozzie Smith last year to try and fix that. Didn't quite work out. Well, Osa Odighizuwa is pretty good, but he's more of a pass rusher than a run stopper. I'm a little worried about the run defense. I also love how Mike Zimmer is just bringing back all the Vikings. They've got EK54 out there now too, Eric Kendricks. I think this team might have a capped ceiling. I think their ceiling might be 10, 11 wins and then a playoff win at the most. I don't know. It felt like if last year, if there was going to be a year where they got over the hump, it was last year, and it just didn't happen. But they're still good. Like, they've still got an insane collection of talent at the top. They're just a little top heavy, maybe not quite as deep. And you know what? The offensive line has traditionally been really good for Dallas. They lost some guys on the line, though. Like, losing Tyron Smith isn't nothing. They kind of need Tyler Guyton to be good right away. We'll see. But they still got some good players. I mean, Terrence Steele's been really good. Zach Martin is still good. But Tyler Guyton's a big question mark. Like, he was a very raw prospect. And, you know, he had a good preseason. He's got his work cut out week 1 against the Cleveland Browns, though, with that ice-cold, nasty defense like Ryan Nasty is saying. Jamathan is in here. Welcome to the stream, Jamathan, saying, just joined, go Bills. Hey, I have the Bills winning week 1. We were talking a little bit earlier about how maybe the rumors of the Bills' demise are a little overstated. I'm still kind of in on the Bills, but welcome to the stream. Good to have you in here. Thanks for joining us. All right, the Browns. Man, this is a team with a really good roster and the quarterback situation is something. I mean, they had the Joe Flacco wild ride last year, right? Deshaun Watson's in and out of the lineup. I don't know, man. Like, this is really it for Deshaun, I think, right? We've been saying, like, well, it's been a while. Like, maybe he can still get back to his Houston form. It's do or die time at this point. I mean, dude, like, it's his own darn fault he missed 11 games his first year with them anyways, right? Like, you know, like, it's hard to feel sorry for him, you know. And he just hasn't looked good. Like, he just hasn't looked good, you know. That being said, you know, they've still got Amari Cooper, right? David Njoku is a dog at tight end. They've got a good offensive line. And yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the 3 best defenses in the league with a nasty front 4. Just a disgusting pass rush. It's not just Myles Garrett, right? Big Z, Zadarius Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson, right? Yeah, good defense. I will say Denzel Ward's a great corner. The big thing with the Browns defense is if you can survive that first wave, right, of the pass rush with Garrett, and then like usually JOK, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is just like a missile shooting downfield. If you can survive that, you can pick on them a little bit in the back end. And that's easier said than done, right? But we saw the Texans in the playoffs. They stood up to the pass rush a little bit, and then they dominated that game. I mean, CJ Stroud just destroyed them. So there is a blueprint out there to beat this defense, but it's easier said than done. Watson is still a WOT NFL candidate. Oh, contract candidate. I mean, absolutely. Goodness gracious, dude. What a disaster for the Browns. Tom Brady's first game in the booth, too. We'll see about that. I'm going to go with the Browns here. I am. I honestly think, like, you know what? I don't know. We'll see about Tyler Guyton, right? This is a big test for some of the new pieces for this Cowboys offensive line. I like the Cowboys enough, I really do, but it's in Cleveland. I think this could be a game where Myles Garrett goes Super Saiyan and gets like 3 sacks and just takes the game over. I know Nick Chubb won't be back. He's on the PUP list, but nice little segue here. Thoughts on Jerome Ford? You know, he's projected super late, but yeah, he does have some sleeper value because I believe Chubb is on the PUP list, so he's missing the first 4 games. Ford isn't like dynamite at running back, but again, the Browns offensive line is good, and Kevin Stefanski has shown he can scheme up a run game. I think you could have a good game week 1 against this Cowboys defense. I'm picking the Browns. All right. Excuse me. Man, I swallowed funny. Greg Newsome is locked down. You know, he has shown a lot, right? And the expectations are high for his draft pick. Goodness, I'm sorry. I swallowed funny there. I'd like to see him take one more step this year. But, man, if he does, you feel that much better about the Browns defense. All right, Jets. Goodness, I need another drink of water. That's crazy. It like froze right when I was coughing, at least on my screen. The New York Jets. This is probably the biggest mystery in the NFL. You know, last year, right, Aaron Rodgers goes down 4 plays. Just 4 plays into his Jets debut. Zach Wilson comes in, but it turns out that maybe the Jets had more problems just besides their quarterback last year. The offensive line was bad. They had no depth at receiver. The defense was still very good, but I mean, there was just so many problems with the Jets beyond Zach Wilson. But you know what? They kind of had a responsible offseason. I got to hand it to them. They were not just out here getting Aaron Rodgers buddies, right? It was not another Alan Lazard moment, right? But it is such a big dice roll, right? You bring in Mike Williams, great but injury prone. You bring in Tyron Smith, great but injury prone. You bring in Morgan Moses, all right, nice, but he's a little bit older, right? And like, how is Aaron Rodgers going to play, right? You know, sometimes I think like last time we saw him out there, like he was a little, I don't want to say bad with the Packers. He wasn't fully locked in. But then I all it takes is like one little sick throw to Garrett Wilson in practice. And it's like, dude, what if they're good? What if they're good? And Breece Hall is a very good back. And you know what? Yeah, the play calling was rough. But there's a very, very high ceiling with this Jets team. We got James in here. Let's go. Welcome to the stream, James. Saying, what's up, Doc? Good to have you in here. We were having a nice Buffalo Bills conversation earlier. I'm sure you're familiar with my Bills take, right? I'm still in on the Bills, baby. I'm still in on the Bills. I'm not ready to hop off the train just yet. And I like Khalil Shakir to go for 1,000 yards this year. I said it. I do like Khalil Shakir a lot in fantasy for those of you guys that are looking for a nice little wide receiver sleeper. But yeah, the play calling was rough, right? And that's really what it's going to come down to for this offense is, can Aaron Rodgers stay healthy and be locked in and be good? Can the offensive line stay healthy? Can Mike Williams stay healthy? And can Nathaniel Hackett not screw it all up? And man, if all four of those things go the Jets' way, this is a very good team. But if even one or two of them don't, I don't know. But there's a lot of potential. And then the defense, I mean, what even needs to be said? I will say, defensive front, a little thinner than normal, right? Like, they lose, and this is how you know you're in deep, right? When you're worried about them losing John Franklin Myers, right? But that's not nothing, right? They lose Bryce Huff. That's not nothing. And their replacement, Hassan Reddick, is nowhere to be found. Where is this dude? He's not showing up to the team. So that's like, you know, Jermaine Johnson, okay, they've been developing their edges pretty well under Robert Saleh, right? And Jermaine Johnson's got a lot of talent. I loved Will McDonald coming out of the draft, and then we just didn't see a lot of him. But okay, maybe there's something there, right? But they need the young guys to kind of step up a little bit. Obviously, Quinnen Williams is just a monster up front, and they've still got Sauce. They've still got DJ Reed. Like, this is a good defense. Let's not overthink this, right? Quincy Williams is a beast. Let's not overthink this too much. But, you know, they lost some depth on the defensive line. We got other people drinking the Shakir Kool-Aid. Let's go. Yeah, we'll see who gets him in Dynasty first. That's crazy. I hope it's me. I don't know. I hope it's me, but we'll see. I was maybe working on my Dynasty plan a little bit today. I'm excited for that. Monday, Dynasty action. Yeah, I'm fired up for that. That's going to be a good time. We worship Khalil in these walls. I also like Curtis Samuel, even with the injury. Joe Brady seemed to use him a lot in screens. Yeah, his best year was with Joe Brady with the Panthers. You know, he's like surprisingly young. He's like 27. Feels like he should be a lot older. All right, the San Francisco 49ers. Man, you want to talk about another team where they've been good for a while, but it feels like the clock just might be ticking a little bit. It just might be ticking a little bit. There's little dominoes that are falling, right? Oh, last year was their year, man. It really was their year, wasn't it? They got so close. Right? Brandon Ayuk is still on a team. I think he's going to be a 49er this year. I think it'd be crazy if they traded him, especially at this point in the season. Like, this is a win now team. You've got to win right now. You haven't paid Purdy yet. You still haven't paid like Ayuk or Trent yet. Like, you got to win right now. And I know they're holding out, but you got to figure something out, right? Trent Williams not being with the team right now is a little scary. Like, I feel like he's honestly priority number one because honestly, underrated development. Outside of Trent, this 49ers offensive line is kind of bad. Like, it's kind of bad. And if Trent doesn't play, oh boy. I mean, look at what happened last year. Trent's out for 3 games. They go 0-3. I don't think that's a coincidence whatsoever. He is one of the most valuable players in the sport, and he is so important to this team. He holds this offensive line together, and without him, it's kind of bad. But the skill position, I mean, the guys are just so sick. Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, Juszczyk, McCaffrey, Kyle Shanahan at the wheel. Oh, I mean, just disgusting, right? And then defensively, right? They've been a very good defensive team for a long time. But again, they just seem to be losing bits and pieces every year, right? They lost Eric Armstead. Talked about him going to the Jaguars. They were not that great against the run last year, right? And Dre Greenlaw got injured in the Super Bowl. He's not at 100% right now, right? He won't be suiting up for a while. I don't know. They did change defensive coordinators. They've still got high-level players at all three levels, right? They've still got Nick Bosa. They've still got Fred Warner. They've still got Charvarius Ward. They absolutely have a Super Bowl ceiling. And this is probably going to be a very good team. There are a few concerns, though. Am I going to do it again? Am I going too upset heavy? I might be. I might not be. I know I'm not going to do it. I'm picking the Jets week 1. Oh, I'm picking the Jets in a Monday night upset. I'm so worried about this 49ers offensive line. I really am. I don't know. I'm not saying that the 49ers are going to fall on their face or anything. I think they might lose week 1, though. They're going to be, I don't know. They're not going to run away with the NFC this year. But anyways. James says, got to hop off, but thought I'd stop by and say, hey, since I saw you're streaming. Well, appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Nice to get a little Khalil Shakir conversation, and hope to see you again soon. But you have a good night. Thank you for stopping by. Ryan Asti says, I agree the 49ers line is bad, but Shanahan can definitely scheme around it, but you can't do it for a full 60 minutes. Oh, I mean, he's going to do what he can, right? Like, he's earned the benefit of the doubt. Like, absolutely. Like, he will do what he can. I am a little worried, though. Maybe I'm worried too much. Maybe the 49ers will win. But again, not every game is chalk, right? All right. 1, 2, 3, 4 more games. So 8 more teams to talk about, and then we'll start speeding through. But we are having a time. 91 minutes. We're still in week 1. But we're going to start rocking and rolling here soon. After these team breakdowns, we got to hit every single team, right? This is the NFL preview that you guys deserve, right? We're talking about stuff that the other guys won't talk about. Who else is going to talk about John Franklin Myers leaving the Jets, right? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of content that will talk about John Franklin Myers, but you know what I mean. I like to have a good time here. Panthers, Saints. All right, let's do it. Let's have the Panthers conversation. Let's just get this out of the way. I'm not picking this team to win the division this year. I may or may not have done that last year. May or may not have been my worst take. May or may not have been an absolute disaster. I'm not picking them to win the division this year, but can they be a little bit better? They spent a lot. I mean, they had to, right? They had to double down. I really don't even think Bryce was that bad last year. He was just in such a terrible situation. The offensive line and the receivers being as bad as they were. They had to do something, right? So they bring in Xavier Legette, Deontay Johnson. Okay, nice. That's a little upgrade, right? No longer is the fossil of Adam Thielen our wide receiver 1. We'll take it, right? Okay. They bring in Robert Hunt. $100 million is a lot. But again, we'll take it, right? You have to pay the Panthers tax. Okay. Dave Canales, new head coach. We'll see. I mean, I wonder how much of Dave Canales, like, his stock was boosted just because he's, like, been the common denominator between Geno in 2022 and then Baker in 2023. I'm not even saying Canales is bad. I wonder if Canales actually has some secret quarterback sauce or if it's kind of been a coincidence. I wonder a little bit. I don't know. He didn't like blow me away as a play caller. I don't think he's bad, but maybe it's his aura that will really boost them. The defense is pretty rough. The defense might be worse than last year, and it wasn't great last year. I mean, they lose some guys, right? Like, they lose Frankie Louvu. They lose Brian Burns. Those are 2 of their best players right there. And again, I hate talking about injuries, right? J.C. Horn is so freaking good. I love J.C. Horn so much, but he just has not consistently been able to stay healthy. And goodness gracious, if J.C. Horn goes down, this might be the worst defense in football. I don't know. The Panthers might be a little bit better, but I'm not exactly fired up for them quite yet. They're going to have to work some things out a little bit. Daddy Messi saying the Rams could win a good amount of games, but that defense is suspect. Oh, I've got a Rams defense take that we'll talk about here in a little bit once we get to the Rams. The Rams were last year's team of Dr. Pigskin. You know what? That worked out pretty well for us. That was a fun ride. Rams are going to be a game or two behind the Niners if they don't win the division. I can see it. I still think they're going to be right there, but Canales is going to make Young a better quarterback. The buy-in of an offensive line will help, and some wide receivers are going to help too. Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think if you're the Panthers, you just want to see Bryce Young look pretty good this year. If he does, you treat that as a big success. I think it's possible. It's on the menu. The New Orleans Saints, talk about another team that just might be mired in mediocrity, just might be a very average team. Man, you know, I was having a nice little conversation about Derek Carr during one of my fantasy drafts yesterday, right? Why do all the Saints fans hate Derek Carr? And I'm not a Saints fan, but from an outsider perspective, it's because Derek Carr represents an idea. He is bigger than just simply a man. Derek Carr is a figurehead for the direction of the New Orleans Saints organization ever since Sean Payton and Drew Brees stepped away. Derek Carr represents the Saints' commitment to averageness, to 8-9 wins, trying to win the weakest division in the South and nothing else. Derek Carr is simply a life vest. He keeps them afloat, nothing more, nothing less. He is not a speedboat that can power you to the great treasure islands. He is simply Derek Carr. He's not bad. He just struggles a lot under pressure, and man, he might be under a lot of pressure this year. The Saints offensive line still isn't looking very promising. Again, you want to talk about rookies that need to be good? Talisa Fuaga better be good, because if he's not, oh boy, Derek Carr, I mean, even if he is good, that's just one of 5 guys. Derek Carr is not bad when he's protected, but when he gets a little bit of pressure, oh, it's a disaster. And we saw the good and the disaster from Carr last year. We saw just a little bit too much disaster. And I give them credit for drafting a lineman because they needed to. But ooh. Chris Olave is really good. I like Olave, right? I mean, the talent is obvious. Maybe the offensive situation isn't the best. Maybe if he was on a different team, his stats would be even more eye-popping. Really good player. Legit wide receiver 1. Rashid Shaheed and A.T. Perry, bit more complementary pieces. Maybe Shaheed can break out a little bit. He's always been an interesting deep threat, but and then Alvin Kamara. I mean, this is what happens when you keep restructuring Alvin Kamara's contract, right? Just pushing that money down. Like, you just keep losing guys. Now, I will say the Saints defense was not bad last year. They were up there in a lot of different metrics, whether it's just, you know, your nerdy stuff like EPA or good old-fashioned points per game. Like, the defense was not bad last year. But I don't know. You know, they've just got a lot of, like, very underrated players like Alontae Taylor and Paulson Adebo and Carl Granderson, right? Like, a lot of hipster players. They don't really have any superstars unless you count Demario Davis as one. It's pretty incredible how he's still one of the best linebackers in the league. But this is a sneaky good defense, but also a shaky offense. I do think it'll be enough for them to win this game, though. I mean, I still think the Saints are a little bit better team than the Panthers. I've seen some people say that, like, the Saints are going to be the worst team in the league. No way. There's no way. Their defense is a little bit too good for that. But I don't think that they're like, I don't know that this is a playoff team. I don't know. But Laywell says the way I viewed Derek Carr, especially when he was with the Raiders, was basically a coin flip on whether he'd go off or have a stinker every Sunday. Pretty much, yeah. And there was that one year, 2016, where the coin was just go off on both sides, and then he got hurt. But Hutchinson, Kansas, community college alum Alvin Kamara. That's crazy. I didn't know that. I know he did have that stint in community college between Bama and Tennessee. I did not know it was in Kansas. Look at that. Laywell is our Kansas correspondent. That's awesome. You know, you learn something new every day doing these streams. Gotta love it. We're going to take a swig of water before this one. Oh, it's about time, right? The doctor finally gets to talk the Vikings. Skull. 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 Let's go. Let's go, Vikings, right? The Minnesota Vikings. You know, it's going to be an interesting year. I think that this is a bit of a transition year, right? You move on from Kirk Cousins. You lose Danielle Hunter, right? This was a weird year for them last year too, with all the injuries and the bad fumble luck and all that stuff, right? But I tell you what, here's what I'll say. I am excited for the Vikings. I am excited for the direction of this organization, and I feel like for the first time, really since like the peak Zimmer days, that we finally have an identity. We finally know who we are. We have a clear direction of where we're going. However, I don't quite know if our record is going to show it this year. We have a brutal schedule. There's still a few weaknesses on this team. I'm very excited for the Vikings. I don't think that this is the year for them to like make a push. Next year, we'll talk. Next year, we'll talk. That's my take for the Vikings. However, I'm not counting them out to be competitive in a lot of these games, and there is a lot of talent. We're going to start by talking about the defense because I feel like everyone all offseason has talked about the offense and the quarterback, and rightfully so, right? I get it. Moving on from Kirk, drafting a quarterback, of course. It was one of the biggest stories of the offseason. It was a big story for the Vikings. But let's talk about this Vikings defense because I got to tell you, this is what really gets me excited about like when I say like we've got a clear direction, because for so many years the Vikings defense was the Zimmer days and those were awesome. And then some of the guys started to get old and then maybe Zimmer just kind of stayed a year or two too long, but we just kept trying to run back the Zimmer days, right? We just kept trying to run it back with Eric Kendricks and Anthony Barr and it just became time to move on from those guys. Now, Brian Flores is here, right? He did such a good job last year. And you look at the defensive roster, and the way I explained it to Gabe the other day, right? We were talking about the Vikings defense. There's not a ton of superstars, but there's a lot of B-plus players on here, right? And I love some of the moves that they made. Like, I really think this defense is going to be so much better than it was last year. And last year it was surprisingly solid, right? I mean, there are some questions about the corner room and very, very unfortunate circumstances for what happened to some of our young guys, right? Mekhi Blackman tears his ACL, and then Kyrie Jackson quite literally dies. I mean, it was so sad, right? Just an unbelievably tragic situation. Byron Murphy Jr., solid corner. Like, I feel like a lot of people underrate him. I know his PFF grade was low, but he had a lot of really tough assignments. And I thought he was easily the Vikings corner last year. Like, he's a starting quality corner. Like, he's playable. You can play him he can be a starter that you feel comfortable about. Stephon Gilmore, not the player he once was, but much better than Andrew Booth. I mean, goodness gracious, right? Like, again, he's probably one of the 32 best corners in the league. The Vikings did not have that last year, right? Like, they just didn't have that. The safeties are so sick. Harrison Smith is maybe past his prime, but you know what? They've still got Cam Bynum and Josh Metellus, who plays quite literally everywhere, right? They bring in Blake Cashman to join Ivan Pace at linebacker. What a move that is, right? Those two complement each other so well. The Vikings struggled guarding the middle of the field last year. That was one of their biggest weaknesses. They were one of the worst teams in the league at defending throws over the middle. Bringing in Blake Cashman to go alongside Ivan Pace should help that. That's an exciting duo middle linebacker. And then the pass rush. I know they lost Daniil, right? And he was easily the best pass rusher. Like, if Daniil was still on the team, he'd be the best pass rusher this year. But it's so much deeper. Oh my goodness, right? Bringing in Jonathan Grenard, who had 12 and a half sacks last year, is always flash talent, finally stayed healthy, was a great player for Houston. I like it. Save a little bit of money. He's a little bit younger than Hunter, but it wasn't just Grenard. I was a little scared when they got Grenard that they were going to say, there we go. We replaced Daniil. We're set at pass rusher. Nope. Andrew Van Ginkel, the ultimate football hipster nerd, I don't want to say underground, but like the ultimate football hipster player, right? Andrew Van Ginkel, who already played with Brian Flores, a unique player in that he's really good at rushing the passer, playing the run, and covering, right? And that's something the Vikings haven't had, is one of those outside linebackers in a 3-4 that can occasionally drop back into coverage. They have that versatility and flexibility now. And then Dallas Turner as like a rotational piece that they can develop. It's miles better than Daniil Hunter and DJ Wanham last year. Like, I'm fired up for this Vikings pass rush. My Vikings hot take is that this team will finish top 5 in the NFL in sacks. I really think so. With Flores' blitzes, with those 3 pass rushers, and you've got the blitzes from Ivan Pace and Josh Metellus and Harrison Smith. Oh, quarterbacks are going to be hitting the turf. Meet at the quarterback. Biggest concern for me with this defense is interior defensive line, right? It's still Harrison Phillips and then Jonathan Bullard and then Jerry Tillery. Jerry Tillery. I like Harrison Phillips enough, but I don't know. I'm not going to say that like I'm Mr. Nose Tackle and I know everything, but he just seems to be maybe a tad small to play nose. He does as well as he can there, but he's just maybe a little bit small. I'd feel a little bit better if he kicked outside to a 3 tech, but he's doing what he can. I am a little worried about this team stopping the run up the middle. And we saw it last year. Like, remember that Eagles game? They got gashed for like 250 yards. Like, there might be a few of those games. But overall, very high on the defense. Ryan Asty asking what I think about the waiving of Lewis Cine. I mean, I think he was bad. I mean, it stinks to say, right? I just think he was bad. Like, think about how many times the Vikings used like weird 3, even 4 safety sets last year, right? And Lewis Cine just wasn't out there. The Vikings used 3 safeties, and Lewis Cine wasn't one of them. When they used a 4th safety, or like they had to sub one of the 3 out, it was not Lewis Cine going out there. It was Theo Jackson. Like, he wasn't beating out Theo Jackson to see the field. Some of it has to do with injury, and it's just unfortunate circumstances, but he just wasn't very good. And that just seems to be a weird trend with a lot of these Georgia defenders. He's been a disappointment. Oh, the fact that we traded down too. But anyways, I don't want to relive that day. The offense. All right. Here's what I'm going to say. Here's my Sam Darnold take. I don't think Sam Darnold is going to be like MVP or anything, right? That's crazy. He probably won't even be as good as Kirk. However, if you watch my last video, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to stick with the take, right? Darnold might be the quarterback, but I tell you what, when the Vikings pass the ball, even with Sam Darnold at quarterback, I don't think it's going to be that bad. I really don't. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and then maybe TJ Hawkinson hopefully comes back week 5. He's on the PUP list, right? Good weapons. KOC is a play caller I like, right? Darnold is a very interesting player. Like, he's always flashed a little bit. He's never been in a good situation. I think he could throw for 4,000 yards. I'm not saying it's always going to be efficient or that the Vikings are going to score like 900 points or whatever. Like, I'm not saying the Vikings are going to average 30 a game, right? The offensive line is good, not great. They have 2 really good tackles. I worry a little bit about the run blocking, but Aaron Jones, I mean, he's still a really good back. He just needs to stay healthy, right? All right, that is the Vikings Yap Sesh. I like the direction of this team. Give them one more year. Next year, they're projected to have, I believe, the 7th most cap space in the NFL. They managed to keep their future first-round pick for next year, which was big, right? Next year, they'll be going in with some cap space, a first-round pick. Hopefully, J.J. McCarthy is back. Next year, they could be a very, very interesting team. And if J.J. hits the ground running, they could be a playoff team next year. Like, I really think that next year is the time for them to be good. But you know what? I think they'll be entertaining and fun to watch this year. As a Vikings fan, like, obviously, okay, like, you could be delusional and be like, best case scenario is the Super Bowl, but like, realistically, that's not going to happen, right? Long-term best case scenario is this team is really competitive. They play a lot of fun, close games. They win like 6 of them, and then they get like the 7th overall pick. Oh, and then they get like Mason Graham or Will Johnson. I mean, a man can dream, right? But we'll see. All right. I've talked about the Vikings for like 10 minutes now. Hey, they're my team. This is my channel. I gotta get it off my chest once, right? Laywell saying, I hope you're right, Doctor. Would love to see another insane season out of JJ, or do you say Jetta since their QB is JJ now? Well, Jefferson has said that he likes to go by Jets now. We'll see. It's going to be so hard to go away from JJ, right? If you guys know about Paul Allen, he's JJ. It's going to be hard to go away from that, but we'll see. Graham, yeah, Mason Graham. Oh my gosh, I would throw a parade if the Vikings got Mason Graham. That would be unbelievable. All right, let's talk about the Giants. Sorry, Giants fans. I've not mentioned Jared Verse yet. We'll have a Jared Verse conversation when we get to the Rams, but Daddy Messi saying he likes the Giants week 1. So does Vegas, apparently. I think they're the favorites in this game, which we'll see. Man, Vikings might not win a lot of games this year. I hope they win this one. I hope we can at least win week 1 and I can be excited about that, but we'll see. All right, where are the Giants? You know, this is the rematch of the playoff game from a few years ago. The Kirk Cousins throwing it short on 4th down game. The Giants, how things have changed since they paid Daniel Jones. They're in kind of a flux right now. You know, it's a shame because I honestly think Brian Daboll's a pretty solid coach, and he's done about as much as he can with not only poor quarterback play, but abysmal offensive line play. And then they lose Saquon too. I mean, they're really going to count on Malik Neighbors to, I don't know, be a dude this year, right? I could see Malik Neighbors doing pretty well. Like I think Daboll could have a plan for him, and I think it's going to be a lot of just getting him out in space, yards after the catch. It might not be a lot of deep balls like you saw at LSU, right? Daniel Jones isn't really the guy to chuck it. Now, if Drew Lock comes in, then maybe we'll get the Drew Lock wild ride of madness. But I mean, losing Saquon's a crushing blow. I still think Saquon's a really good player. He's doing what he can behind that offensive line. The defense is at least a little bit more interesting, right? They bring in Brian Burns. They've got sexy Dexter Lawrence, who's a beast, one of the best players in football. I mean, the fact that he is a nose tackle, gets as many sacks and pressures as he does is just unbelievable, right? And then Kayvon Thibodeaux, right? Maybe some of the sacks are misleading. Maybe he gets a lot of cleanup sacks, but there's still clearly talent there, right? And maybe adding in Burns, like that helps a little bit. You bring him down a peg, right? Deonte Banks was all right as a rookie. Like he showed enough where I'm interested, right? The defense isn't bad, but I am kind of worried about this offense. I mean, they downgrade at running back. The offensive line is still just a massive problem. Malik Neighbors is going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting, and Daniel Jones is just, like at best, he's like the 22nd best QB in the league. I don't know. I'm sorry. I have to do it. I'm picking the Vikings week 1. The Vikings go on the road and win. They gotta, right? I just think they're the better team, man. I really do. I might not always be saying this, but in this case, I think they are. Danny Dimes. Paul Allen is goated. Man, if there's anyone that deserves to see his Vikings Super Bowl win, it's Paul freaking Allen. It is. If the Vikings lose to the Giants, yikes. The Giants are just punting again until DJ's gone. I mean, pretty much, right? Like, I feel like they kind of, if you're Brian Daboll, though, you kind of can't punt. Like, you kind of need to win some this year to, like, keep your job, I feel like. I don't know. All right, 2 more games from week 1, 2 more teams to break down. Giants start 0-2 like clockwork. Remember, facts, hey, someone's got to do it, right? I guess we'll help them out starting 0-2. I guess we'll win. All right, the Washington Commanders. If there's any Commanders fans in here, I'm truly sorry. Lord knows you guys have been through enough, right? Man, you guys have been through the ringer. I'm going to be honest, man. I don't think this is going to work. I don't think that a lot of this is going to work. I don't think Dan Quinn at head coach is going to work. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is going to work. I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to work. I don't think that this defense is going to work. I'm going to be real honest, man. I think this might be the team with like the worst record in football next year. Oh, man. If there's any Commanders fans in here, I know like that would stink to hear. Like no one likes hearing that, you know. I'm just not super high on this team, right? I talked a little bit about like in one of my previous videos, like Dan Quinn running all that man coverage and like, you know, it works when you're better than the other team and you look at the Cowboys like last year, you know, mind you, with a really talented defensive roster, like, you know, with Bland and Parsons and all them, like, okay, they steamrolled the Giants, right? And they can like overpower the weaker opponents. But then they get lit up by the Packers and they get lit up by the 49ers and they get lit up by the Seahawks. And I just worry, like, is Dan Quinn going to try and do that with like Emmanuel Forbes? Like, I don't know. And you know what? To their credit, because there was a Commanders fan in the comment section of my recent video, and like he said, like some of the moves that they made in the draft for defense, like, okay, yes, they did address the defense a little bit, right? We'll see. I don't know. And like Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu is a nice move. Like I like the Frankie Louvu and Jeremy Chin moves, and Dorrance Armstrong is interesting, right? And just Cliff, I don't know. Like, it's just so interesting. Like, when Cliff came into the NFL a few years ago, it's like, ooh, the college offense, Cliff is going to change the game. And it's just kind of very vanilla, static, tight stuff. Like, it's all just like, oh, DeAndre Hopkins lines up in the same exact spot every play and runs the same exact routes. And it's all hitches and goes. And I get that's what Jaden Daniels did in college. So maybe that'll be an easy transition for him. But there's just like what else can they do? And I still really worry about this offensive line. And that was Jaden Daniels' big issue in college, was when he was pressured, he would abandon pockets and just kind of tuck his head and run, and maybe didn't manage pressure the best. So I don't know. I could be horribly wrong about Jaden Daniels. I know I've been saying like, oh, Jaden Daniels might be the bust from this class. Like, I will eat crow for sure if I'm wrong. But to be honest, like someone's got to have the worst record in the NFL, right? I think the Commanders might be my pick this year. They're going up against the Bucks, who, hey, they made the playoffs this past year. It's kind of hilarious how the Bucks have won the division like 3 years in a row now. Like, you wouldn't think about it. They're going for their 4th straight division title. Daddy Messi saying raise the flags, right? Ryan Astley saying the Bucks are so underrated every year that we are doubted. That's right. We got the Bucks correspondent in here too. Won a playoff game and had an efficient offense. Don't look at the running numbers, but the new OC Cohen will have a better rushing offense. Let's talk about this Bucks rushing offense. You know, I think it's going to start with the offensive line too. I like some of the moves that they made on the offensive line, bringing in Graham Barton to be their center, right? And they had a lot of young guys last year, but you look at the Buccaneers offensive line, there's some talent like Luke Gedke, I think I said his name right. Is Gedke or Gedecki? But he was like surprisingly good last year. And Tristan Wirfs, man, another take. Like, Tristan Wirfs, Hall of Famer in my opinion, at least future Hall of Famer. Like, he still needs to maybe play a little bit more, but he's on a Hall of Fame trajectory, right? Cody Mock, horns up, baby, right? You know what? He was all right. He's young, right? 3rd round pick coming over from the FCS, or maybe he was a 2nd round pick, but maybe you see another step from him. But yeah, Graham Barton. Like, this is a good-looking Godecki. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ryan Asty. Let's go. Look at that. But improved offensive line. They also bring in Bucky Irving in the draft to go alongside Rashad White. Like, the running game was inefficient last year. Dave Canales was very stubborn about running the ball, which part of me respects, right? Run the freaking rock. It should be better this year. And you know what? They've still got some good receivers. Evans and Godwin still just seems to be underrated as a duo. And Baker played well, to his credit, last year. He did. Like, he had some nice games, right? Maybe he just needed a change of scenery and a healthy shoulder. The defense has a few studs. I mean, Antoine Winfield Jr., it might be one of the best defenders in football. Vita Vea, still a delightfully massive human being up the middle. And Levante David, you know, still just like, I mean, he just keeps like going at it, right? I mean, it's incredible how like he's been so good for so long, you know? So they've got high-level players on all levels of their defense. You know, maybe you like to see a little bit more out of their pass rush, right? Like Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, time's running out on him to maybe like establish himself. But like, I don't know, like Yaya Diaby was like fun, you know. You're right, they did lose Carlton Davis, and that is not nothing. I will give you that. And I've heard reports that Jamel Dean is maybe a question, but we'll see. But the corner room is probably as thin as it's ever been. I would agree that Levante David is a Hall of Famer. First ballot. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I'm going to go with the Bucks. I just think they're the better team. Todd Bowles might have a welcome to the NFL experience here for Jaden Daniels. We got Mudgates in here. Welcome to the stream, Mudgates. Don't think I've seen you in here before, so welcome to the Dr. Pigskin family, saying, hey, Doc, I love your vids, but how are you able to easily remember the majority of NFL players and their skill sets? The short answer is that, like, this is my life, man. Like, I seriously just love football so much, and like, I've really just been trying to get even deeper into it these past few years. Like, I've always been a big football fan, like, ever since I've been like 10 years old. Like, if there's a football game on, I've wanted to watch it. But like, you know, I went through journalism school and the sports media program at UGA, and I kind of realized like deep down what I wanted to do all along was like cover the NFL, talk about the NFL. And so like, man, like really this past year in particular, like I've been trying to watch like as many games as possible. I've been trying to learn how to like watch film, like, And by no means am I like an expert at any of this, right? Like I watch a lot of JT O'Sullivan's breakdowns of quarterbacks, like obviously a former NFL quarterback. Like he just has such an incredible insight to the game and can break down the X's and O's stuff. But I just consume a lot of football content and I just follow the sport really closely. And it just like this truly is like something I just enjoy doing so much. And so even if it's talking about like, I don't know, what Graham Barton can bring to the Bucks run game, like the fact that I get to do it and people will listen, even if it's 15 people in a stream, it's just such a blessing, man. So sorry to get all sappy here, but I really like that question. It's just fun, man. It's just a lot of fun. This is what I do. I mean, I have a life outside of football, obviously, right? I write for a newspaper. I enjoy spending time outside and stuff, but man, I won't lie. I'm thinking about football the majority of the day. I really am. All right. 2 more teams to break down, and then we're going to start hitting these picks a little bit quicker. Look at that. We've hit about 2 hours, and look at all the people that have been sticking in here. I got to say, shout out to you guys. Ryan Asti saying, right with you, Doc. Let's go, right? Hey, this is a community for people that love football at all levels. If you've never watched a football game in your life, or if you are quite literally JT O'Sullivan, you are welcome and you are all right here. That would be crazy if the QB school popped in here one day. There's no way. A man can dream. That would be crazy. But yeah, I will say, if you want to like learn more about football, his videos are long and they can get a little jargony. But I'm not going to lie. I've been binging those videos this summer and I've learned so much about the game just from watching that. Again, I still have a long ways to go, right? Like, I never played past 8th grade, right? I fully recognize my place here, but there's just something beautiful about, if you want to learn something, you can. It's out there. You can learn it if you want to. But, all right, enough of that soft, emotional stuff. Let's talk about grown men slamming into each other as they try and advance a ball across a field of grass. That's football, baby. One final matchup for week 1, the Sunday night doozy, the Rams and the Lions. Let's talk about the Rams, and we're going to start with the defense because there's been a lot of Rams defense takes flying around recently. Big news is that they got rid of Ernest Jones, and again, I just don't quite see the vision with that. I don't know, man. He's a good player. And this is a very young and inexperienced defense. And they got rid of one of their most experienced guys. I mean, he was like the quarterback of the defense. But we'll see. Les Snead knows better than me. Les Snead has been a very good GM. Clearly, they know something we don't. But besides losing Ernest Jones, they lost the 2 most important figures from this defense. Obviously, Aaron Donald and then Raheem Morris, their defensive coordinator. Like, Raheem Morris did an awesome job with them last year with a young and inexperienced team that kind of overachieved. Losing those guys is going to be a lot to overcome. Here's what I'll say. I'm not saying it's a given that it's going to happen, but they've made enough moves where they can maybe stay at the same level they were last year, if not be a tiny bit better on defense. They really hit defensive line in the draft, right? Braden Fisk and Jared Verse, right? 2 big, strong guys, right? Like Jared Verse, maybe the big knock on him is he's not like your speed rusher, but he's just so powerful. He's so stout against the run, right? And they need that. With Aaron Donald gone now, they need some stoutness. And then Fisk will probably play a little bit more inside, right? And they've got some underrated guys on the defense. Byron Young, Kobe Turner, both really good as rookies last year, right? They've got talent up front. And then the secondary, I mean, it was a disaster last year. They just bring in a bunch of guys. They hope that it works out, right? You know what? I said earlier, Trey White's been injured a lot. He's not the player he once was. But like Stephon Gilmore, he's better than what the Rams had last year. Darius Williams is back. A perennial Dr. Pigskin favorite, right? Super underrated guy. He's back in LA. Right? He's played there before, right? Going to be doing a lot of zone with him. I love the Cam Curl signing. I mean, he's just like a do-it-all kind of Swiss Army type of safety, right? You can bring him up to the line of scrimmage. He's all right in coverage. Like, he's an addition. He's a notable addition for this team, right? I don't think their defense is quite as bad as some people think. And a lot of it might hinge on their defensive coordinator. It's Chris Shula. I don't have he that's a blind spot. I don't have a Chris Shula take, unfortunately. I don't really know a lot about him. Maybe that's what I'll have to get in the lab for. But I think that there is some talent there. I don't think the Rams defense is quite as bad as some people think. And then the offense, man. The offense is so sick. This, if people stay healthy, and this is an if, because there's been some injury concerns, but if this offense stays healthy, this could be the best offense in football. I mean, you look at like how good they were last year when they had Stafford, Puka, Cooper Kupp, and Kyron all on the field. I mean, there's a tweet out there somewhere that I have liked or something. And speaking of tweets, shout out Laywell for finding me on Twitter and following me. Yeah, go find Dr. Pigskin on Twitter if you're not following me. Obviously, you're not forced to, but I tweet a lot of content updates and tweet some takes out there. We have some fun talking ball, but yeah, feel free to check that out. And I'll have the link for the Pick'em Challenge in there too later. But shout out Laywell for the follow. I'll have to check that out later. Follow you back. But yeah, there's a tweet out there that said like last year when those guys were all in the field, the Rams were first in like literally everything. I mean, it was crazy how good their offense was. And Sean McVay has proven that he's one of the best head coaches in the league, right? You give Sean McVay a year to figure things out, they will. They bring in new guys on the offensive line, right? Jonah Jackson coming over from the Lions. Like, this is a very strong interior offensive line. I think this is a team that's going to run the ball a lot, and then when they throw it, it's going to be box office. Just please, everyone, stay healthy. It's no secret I love this Rams team, right? They're my team of Dr. Pigskin last year. The defense still worries me a little bit, and the health of the offense worries me a little bit. Like, that could be what does them in, but the ceiling is sky high. The Rams could be must-see TV. I am so fired up for this game. We're going live for this game. No question. No question. Michael saying, thought Verse went to the Vikings, got him confused with Dallas Turner. Yeah, hey, I don't blame you, right? There's a lot of edge rushers going off the board in the first round, right? I think, easy for me to say, I think Turner's a tiny bit better, but Verse is a little bit more pro-ready. He's a little bit more polished. Turner is kind of a project, which is kind of weird to say about an Alabama edge guy, but he's got the traits, but we'll see. Sam Sparzo saying came in late, but loved the Colts upset. Welcome to the stream, Sam. Good to have you in here. Welcome to the Dr. Pigskin family. Loving the Colts upset. Let's go. The Colts are this year's team of Dr. Pigskin. They're the team that I'm bandwagoning on. Obviously, you might be able to see behind me, I'm a Vikings fan. But I like the Colts this year to make some noise. Let's go. Daddy Messi saying Blake Corum is my sleeper in fantasy this year. Hey, I made sure to get Blake Corum in my Dynasty League this year. I'm in a couple of Dynasty Leagues. I'm going to try and get him in the other one too. Don't tell James or Henry if he pops in there. Both of them are in that league, but I'm going to try and get Blake Corum. All right, last but not least, mile marker. This one is for you, saying I'm going to speak sweetly to Lions fans. Here we go. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions, the final team to break down before we race through the rest of the picks. The Detroit Lions. The vibes are as high as they have ever been. Everyone is back. Dan Campbell's back. Ben Johnson's back. Aaron Glenn is back. Jared Goff is back. Pretty much all the offensive line minus Jonah Jackson is back. Sun God is back. Laporta's back. The backfield is back. The offense is all there. The offense was unbelievable last year. One of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. One of the best passing attacks in the NFL. And again, when I say this, I'm not saying this to even diss Jared Goff. Like, Jared Goff was good last year, like he was. But it just goes to show that when the Lions pass the ball, even if you don't think Jared Goff is like a top 10 quarterback, you best believe that the Lions have one of the best 10 passing games in the NFL. When the Lions pass the ball, it works. Some of it is Goff. Some of it is Laporta being sick. Some of it is Amon-Ra being sick, right? It goes both ways. But man, this is a very, very good looking team. I know Jack saying earlier that this might be the best roster in the NFL. It could be. And a big reason why I'm more fired up for the Lions is they made a lot of moves on defense. That defense was the big problem last year, right? Their secondary was getting torched. The run defense was good, but the secondary and pass defense was so bad, it kind of dragged down the rest of the unit. And they had some close calls early in the playoffs, like, that Rams game. Stafford just went nuclear on them, right? They managed to win that game. And then, you can talk about the fourth down decisions all you want with Dan Campbell. I get it. It was aggressive. It was gutsy. It didn't work out. But also, like, the 49ers just kind of turned things around in the second half. And their offense woke up and just took it to the Lions defense. But they brought in some guys. Terrion Arnold in the draft. Ennis Rakestraw in the draft. Brian Branch, year 2. They're going to be moving him around a little bit. He's more at safety now, not necessarily slot corner, right? They bring in DJ Reader. DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil. Lord have mercy. Have fun running the ball on this team. Goodness gracious, that is probably the best interior duo in football. And then Aiden Hutchinson, who I got to give him credit, man. He's been better than I thought he would be. Aiden Hutchinson was pretty good last year. And Marcus Davenport, a sleeper. He was on the Vikings last year, right? Very, very disappointing tenure for him, right? The big thing with Marcus Davenport has always been, I think he's a pretty good player. He just hasn't ever been on the field. When he's on the field, he's good. They signed him for pretty cheap. That's a good low-risk, high-reward signing, I think. If Davenport can stay healthy, that's a nasty defensive line. The linebackers look pretty good with Alex Anzalone. And, Jack Campbell might play. He might get swapped out some with Derek Barnes and Malcolm Rodriguez. But the defense is much improved and the offense is still good. Man, I love the Rams so much. I do. I can't pick against the Lions at home week 1. This Lions team, man, they're pretty good this year. All right. Week 1 is done. Oh my gosh. And none of the pictures are loading. We're going to refresh here. Hold on. They're verifying that I'm human. I most certainly am. Okay, there we go. Week 2, the pictures are loading. We have broken down every single team. And now we're going to start getting some more of these picks off pretty quick here and get our actual predictions. Look at that. Over 2 hours of yapping about the teams. And yet we're still rocking and rolling. Let's go. Let's go. Mile Marker saying Reader was the one signing that really made me fired up. I don't blame you. I saw that, and the Vikings fan in me was like, oh, crap. But the neutral football enjoyer in me was like, oh, what a move for the Lions. What a move for the Lions. And yeah, trading for Carlton Davis is great, too, if he can stay healthy. Yeah, he's a good man corner. The Lions run a lot of man, right? He's a massive upgrade over what they had last year. Maybe a slight dice roll with his health, and yeah, maybe, I don't want to say a down year, not his best last year, but yeah, good move. Can confirm the doc is indeed human. I am. I beat the robot allegations. All right, let's go. Here we go. First Thursday night football game of the year. I guess the previous week, the opener's on Thursday, but the first Thursday night football on Prime Video with Next Gen Stats Prime Vision, which I'm excited to return to that. We've got the Bills going to Miami to take on the Dolphins, and you know what? The Dolphins start 0-2. I'm sorry, Miami. Buffalo's just had the Dolphins number. Like, they really have. And a lot of people have said, like, well, when the Dolphins go into the cold, that's when things go downhill. It's like, no, it's when they play tough competition. Like, when teams can take away their outside zone game a little bit, or when teams can just, not give up 200 yards to Tyreek, that's when things go haywire. And Odell is missing the first 4 games. I think the Bills are the better team. I really do. I might have the Bills sweep the Dolphins. I might have the Dolphins shockingly low. I'm not going to say that they win 3 games, but I think 7 or 8 wins is in the cards for Miami. Honest opinion. Gabe asking, what's more likely, Lions NFC Championship win or Bucks back-to-back division round appearances? I don't want to spoil too much because I've got a vision for how these playoffs are going to turn out. We'll get to that question in a little bit. How about that? I have an answer in mind, though. All right, Jets, Titans. Oh, do the Jets start 2-0? They just might, right? Again, I don't want to just pick the better team or chalk every time, right? But the Titans, again, they're intriguing me, right? But it's probably just going to be a bit more of a developmental year. I am going to go with the Jets here. There still might be some growing pains as much as I am fired up about this offensive line. And Will Levis we'll see, right? He was fun at times. He also has a bit of a bozo gene, but that was to be expected. Browns, Jaguars. I'm going to go with the Browns here. I am. I am drinking the Jags Kool-Aid, right? We saw the Browns beat them last year. Trevor was kind of banged up in that game, but I don't know. I think that this Browns defense might be just a little bit too much for this Jaguars offense. I don't think the Jags offense, especially their line, is quite at the level where they can just stand up to that onslaught of a pass rush. So we'll go with the Browns here on the road a little bit. All right, Raiders, Ravens, good get back game for the Ravens right here, right? I mean, this is still like really a really good team, and I mean, what else is there to say, bro? It's the Baltimore Ravens at home on a long week. All right. Jamathan saying, I might be biased as a Bills fan, but I think the Finns finished third in the AFC East. Look at their schedule from week 13 to 18. I just don't see it. No, I'm with you. I mean, we'll see how the standings play out for this, right? I'm with you. I think they finished third. I think I had them. I made like a standings prediction after the draft and put it on Twitter, and this will probably look a little different than that, but I had the Dolphins third in that for what it's worth. And yes, Levis was the mayo and the coffee guy. Now, the less fun answer is he said he did that as a bit, and he doesn't actually do that, but isn't it fun to kind of enjoy the mayo menace a little bit? All right, Broncos, Steelers. I did the team order wrong. Got to go with the Steelers here. How about the Steelers starting 2-0? I mean, again, the Broncos just don't strike me as a team that is going to like match up well. Like they just don't have very many strengths. And like, I don't know. I just like, how is their offense really going to move the ball? I think it's going to be a very slow, methodical Broncos offense. Chiefs, Bengals. This is an interesting one. Do not anticipate picking against the Chiefs very much this year, to be quite honest. Like, I really just don't. There's a small part of me that wants to pick the Bengals just because, like, the Chiefs aren't going to go undefeated, right? And Cincy, for the most part, has had the Chiefs' number, but it is an Arrowhead, right? They're coming off a mini bye. Look at that, the little mini bye. Nah, the Chiefs are just too good. I thought about taking the Bengals. I'm not gonna. Packers Colts is an interesting one. And we talked about the concern with the Packers running game just a little bit here. No, it's in Lambeau. Give me the Packers. We'll talk about these matchups somewhat, but I'm really just going to be going off vibes a little bit. I mean, I gave my thoughts for these teams. I feel like you guys might understand my justifications a little bit, but I'm always willing to listen to any sort of like, hey, what do you think about this? Laywell liking it, saying, thank you, Doc. Good call. I thought about it, but it's Arrowhead, not Burrowhead. All right, Chargers, Panthers. See, I think the Chargers can win these games. I do think even though the Chargers might be in for a rebuilding year, I think they've got enough talent at some spots and good enough coaching. I think especially coaching, they will probably beat the bad teams on their schedule. As weird as that might sound, they're a team that I think like can consistently beat the bad teams on their schedule. You can't say that about every team. So I'll go the Chargers there. I mean, again, this Panthers defense is just so bad. I don't know. Seahawks, Patriots. I might have been tempted to pick the Patriots a few weeks ago, but after losing Barmore to injury and Judon, I like their matchup against the Seattle offensive line a little less. This is a fun little Super Bowl rematch, though. I'm going to go Seattle. Bears-Texans is an interesting one. I'm going to go with the Bears here. Texans starting 2-0 is crazy, but again, I just think like for this Texans defense, Kamari Lassiter is going to have to kind of step it up and be good like right away. And he could be like he was pretty good for Georgia, and Stingley's a beast, but they don't have a whole lot in their secondary outside of Stingley. And again, we saw them kind of get beat by explosive passing attacks last year. And I think this Bears passing attack could be one of the best in the NFL. I think we could see some points here. I'm not like crazy about the Bears defense. I think it's all right. I think the Bears could win this one in a shootout. Not the 49ers. The Texans starting 0-2 is crazy, though. I promise I'm not a hater. All right. 49ers, Vikings. I've seen a lot of 49ers fans on Twitter be like, man, we never beat the Vikings in Minnesota. And that's true. Nah, they're going to win this game, though. I mean, let's be real. Again, they're just the better team. We kind of low-key got a little lucky winning that game last year. And Kirk was a baller in that game, that Monday night 49ers game. That was one of the highlights of the year. That was a fun game, but we got a few breaks to go our way, and Trent wasn't playing in that game. So if the Vikings were to win, it's just like their pressure is so sick, but I don't know. All right, Saints, Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys at home. Giants, Commanders. Ooh. Interesting game here. I'll go with the Commanders. They're at home. These two teams will split. How about that? That seems fair. I'll take the Commanders for that one. I'm not going to have the Commanders go 0-17. Lions, Buccaneers. It's the Gabe Conflict of Interest Bowl. Although I feel like at this point it's well established. He's all aboard the Tampa Bay train. Here you go. This is a crazy game. I think he's actually going to be at this game. I'm going to go Lions. The little playoff rematch. It's hard to pick against the Lions. I might not be doing that a ton. Cardinals, Rams. You know, the Cardinals, again, like I hate seeing like, oh, this team that I like, they're 0-2. But like, we're 2 weeks into the season, right? Falcons, Eagles in Philly, night game. Oh, yeah. Go Bucks, baby. Go Bucks. Gabe not happy. Mile marker saying Lions. Hey, I had to do it. I'm sorry. Hey, I tried to pick the Bucks for an upset in the playoffs last year, and I saw the vision, and they got close, but it didn't quite happen. Patriots, Jets. Patriots upset. Why not? Thursday night wackiness. Drake May will hopefully be the starter by then. If not, it's going to be the NFL Cinderella story, Jacoby Brissett. How about a little Patriots wackiness? This could be like an Aaron Rodgers bad game or whatever, right? Patriots defense shows up to play a little bit. Mayo gets his first win as a Patriots coach. I like it. Gabe saying, just wait, Jalen McMillan, 1 TD catch, 75 yards. Hey, we'll see, right? That's why they play the games. Jalen McMillan could be a pretty interesting piece for the Buccaneers this year. All right, Chargers, Steelers. Give me the Steelers. Oh, the Steelers might rush for 200 yards in this game. They really might. Renegade playing, the terrible towels waving. This is a Steelers win all over it. Team from LA goes to Pittsburgh and loses. Sounds pretty predictable to me. Monday night, we got a fun one. Jaguars and Bills. Bills. I thought about the Jaguars. I'm going to go with the Bills. Packers, Titans. A little Matt LaFleur bowl, right? Matt LaFleur came over from the Titans. Yeah, we'll go Packers again. I gassed up the Titans. We'll give them some wins here, but I don't know. This is a game I could see the Vikings winning. I don't think they will. There's no way the Texans start 0-3. That would be crazy. We'll go Texans over Vikings here. That's a little revenge game. Stephon Diggs coming back to Minnesota for the first time. He played against the Vikings, but that was in Buffalo a few years ago. Some call that the greatest game of all time. And also Danielle Hunter's return to Minnesota. That's kind of crazy. Oh, Bears Colts. Another little Super Bowl rematch from way back when. This is the first Super Bowl I remember existing. I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but I remember I was in kindergarten and it was the Friday before the Super Bowl, and it was not our teacher. It was like the person who like delivered us the milk. It was not a janitor either. It was one of the lunch ladies, I think. She asked who we thought was going to win the Super Bowl, and the whole class started chanting Colts except for the one Bears fan in our class. He said, Bears. And then the Colts won. You know what? They're going to win this one too in Lucas Oil Stadium. How about it? Colts get the running game going against the Bears. This is an interesting game. I will be locked into this game a little bit. I like this matchup. All right, Bucks, Broncos. Here we go. Buccaneers victory. How about that? Buccaneers raise the flag versus the Broncos. I think that, I don't know. I'm just not super high on the Broncos. I don't think that they'll go 0 for anything, but I don't know. Daddy Messi saying he doesn't agree with the Patriots W there at all. Hey, weird stuff happens, right? Sometimes you got to get a little crazy. I don't doubt that the Jets are definitely the better team and they're at home, but it's Thursday night football. Get a little chaos going, right? And $1.20 chicken tendies saying we own the Jets even when they're terrible. I mean, historically, that has been the case, right? We'll see if Belichick is gone, if the ownage continues or not. Giants, Browns. I mean, Myles Garrett versus Evan Neal. That is hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby all over. I mean, I know I won't have the Dolphins starting 0-3, will I? And the Seahawks starting 3-0? For what it's worth, Mike McDaniel. Wait, shoot. Oh, this is the Mike Mick Bowl. It's Mike McDaniel versus Mike McDonald. The Mike Mick Bowl. For what it's worth, Mike McDonald did kind of dismantle the Dolphins last year. Nah, I'm going to give the Dolphins a win. In Seattle, I could see the Seahawks. Know what? No. This is my channel. This is my choice. I'm going to stand on business. Seahawks beat the Dolphins. I promise I'm not a hater. I promise I'm not a hater. Dolphins starting 0-3 would be crazy. Look at the Seahawks starting 3-0. All right. Panthers, Raiders. Give me the Raiders. The Raiders. Give me that Oakland. I still want to call them Oakland. Give me that Vegas Raiders defensive resurgence. All right. Ravens Cowboys. I'm going to go with the Ravens. I thought about the Cowboys there for a sec. I'm going to go with the Ravens. Here's a fun one. Sunday Night Football. Chiefs, Falcons. Chiefs. Excuse me. Bengals over Commanders. We're starting to pick up steam here a little bit. Eagles, Saints, Eagles. Oh, this is a fun one. I love these matchups so much. 49ers, Rams. This one's in LA. I'll go 49ers. I thought about the Rams, but you know what? Kyle Shanahan has Sean McVay's number. This is our channel. This is our choice. This is our Colts. This is our team. We bleed blue. Let's go. I'm going to be singing that after every Colts win this year. The team at Dr. Pigskin. Lions over Cardinals. Oh, the poor Cardinals. 0-3. They'll bounce back somewhat. Jaguars, Texans. We'll give Houston the home win here. Hey, Jaguars did beat them in Houston last time, but I think they'll probably split. Steelers versus Colts. Yeah, LA is not a home stadium for the Rams when San Francisco comes to town. That thing is packed to the brim with red. Very true. Very true. Colts, Steelers. Give me the Colts. For the shoe. For the shoe. Beat the Broncos. Let's show them who the real horses are. Let's go. Dude, he kind of cooked with that. I'm not going to lie. Let's show them who the real horses are. He cooked. Mile marker loving the Lions love so far. All right. Broncos, Jets. There you go. Here's a Jets win. Oh, we got a little bit of a race right now between these two teams. Here we go. You know, we all know how this game is going to go, right? It's going to be close. It's going to be tied going into the fourth quarter. And then the Chiefs are going to score. And then they'll get a turnover to seal the game. And, you know, there's going to be debates over who blew it, whose fault it is. And it's going to be crazy. But we're going to go with the Chiefs, dude. The Chiefs just always win close games against the Chargers. It's in the script, right? Oh, these are some fun games, though. Browns, Raiders. You know what? How about the Raiders? I don't know. Let's give them a little Raiders upset right here. Bills, Ravens. Bills 4-0 to start. We'll go with the Dolphins here. There's no way they drop another to Titans. Titans are 0-4. Oh, no. That's exactly how I think Chargers-Chiefs will happen. I mean, that's how it be, right? Stupidity saying for the shoe. Oh, yeah, Doc, I'm cooking. According to Laywell, look at the Chiefs winning some games here. Bengals, Panthers. Give me the Bengals. Patriots, Niners. We'll go with the Cowboys over the Giants. Oh, the classic rivalry. We're going to go with the Packers. Vikings off to a rough start, 1-3, but I would expect it, honestly. Like, their first 11 games are just disgustingly hard. It's so bad, man. I'm a little sad. It's like, really? You could give us a few more softballs so we could at least get our hopes up a little bit? I don't know. We could see some points in this game. Bears, Rams. We'll go with the Rams. Their offense is going to be too much for the Bears, I think. We could see some points, though. Could be a game we see in the 30s, but I think the Rams will be just a little bit too much. Eagles, Bucks. Eagles. Wow, the Eagles are 4-0. We've got a lot of undefeated teams to start out here. Saints, Falcons. We'll go with the Falcons. Big Kirko. Man, tough sledding in the AFC or NFC South so far. Cardinals, Commanders. There's a Cardinals win. And we'll go with another Lions win. They're 4-0. Seahawks' first loss of the season. I think if you're Seattle, though, you're feeling pretty good about starting your first 4 games 3-1. All right. Bills, Texans. We'll go with the Texans here. It's in Houston, right? Bills aren't going to win them all. I could see the Bills winning this game. This will be a fun one, but we'll go Houston here. Colts, Jaguars. Jaguars in Duval County. You know, this could be a good matchup here for the Jaguars. That secondary of the Colts, again, that's like the one thing that kind of concerns me with this team. I like Brian Thomas Jr. a lot this season. And you know what? He might go off in this game. I think we could have a nice Trevor 300-yard game in this one. This is a very big game right here. A lot of division implications. We got the Bengals and the Ravens, and I'm taking the Bengals, who kind of hop in the driver's seat a little bit for the division with that win. That's a big win, you know. We only saw one. We didn't really see these two teams play at full strength at all last year. Burrow was obviously playing hurt in their first game around, and then he gets injured again in the second game. And I really think these two teams are pretty close. And again, Ravens defense just might not be quite as good as last year. And this Bengals offense has the chance to be awesome. In the jungle, give me Cincy. Give me Cincy. Stupidity says the Colts have another curse, losing to the Jags on the road. Yeah, that's right. What did they beat the Jags on the road last year? I'm trying to remember. Because, like, wasn't it going back to, like, 2013 or something crazy like that? I remember that one year with Wentz that they just needed to beat the Jaguars to get in the playoffs, and then they lost. Also saying the Ravens are 2-3 while the Browns are 3-1 is crazy. Yeah, I mean, it'll even itself out a little bit, you know, but that is crazy, isn't it? All right. Dolphins, Patriots. We'll go Dolphins here. Michael Doty saying no. I don't know why I said your full name there. Michael saying no. All right. We'll give the Broncos a win here. I think that's their first win, right? 1-4. You know, that's the thing with picking these sometimes. Like, the standings will look a little weird, but we'll see how it plays out throughout the season. Vikings, Jets in London. I'm not going to lie. This game scares me. I don't love the London games. Maybe I am going a little too chalky, but we'll go with the Jets in London. Oh, Aaron Rodgers against the Vikings. Flashbacks. Browns over the Commanders, man. The Browns keep winning. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I do like their team well enough. It really just is the quarterback that kind of scares me. Like, they really have a lot of good pieces. 4-1 might be aggressive, but this is just how I'm picking them, I guess. We'll see how it shakes out. Cowboys, Steelers, we'll go Cowboys. Sorry, Michael. We'll go Chiefs over the Saints. I honestly could see the Chiefs racing out to like 5-0. Like, I think that's very much a realistic possibility. We'll go Falcons Thursday night at home versus the Bucs. This could be a split. Again, I think these two teams are close enough. Man, the Falcons are 2-3 leading the division. And we'll go Bears over Panthers. 49ers. We might give the Cardinals a home win. We'll give the Giants a little upset. Why not, right? They get the extra rest. Who knows, right? They got to win some games. Parachamp saying Browns should have kept Joe Flacco. Honestly, I mean, he and Jacoby Brissett have been their best quarterbacks the past few years. Oh, this is another fun one. Packers, Rams. Give me the Rams. At home, even though it might be kind of a home game. Goat Jameis has their back. We'll see. We'll see. Colts, Titans. All right, here we go. Starting to heat up a little bit. It's week 6. Colts. We'll go Texans over the Patriots. Oh, this is a classic football matchup right here. Thinking like the Immaculate Reception, some old-timey 70s games. We'll go with the Raiders. The Raiders' defense can cause some turnovers, and against the shaky Steelers' passing offense, you know, I could see like a 2-pick game for Jack Jones in this one. All right, Chargers, Broncos. Chargers. I don't know. I think they can win these types of games. Bills, Jets. How about the Bills? 5-1 for the Bills. Bucks over Saints. You know what? Yes, let's do that one. I agree with you. I agree with you. How about it? And we'll go Falcons over Panthers. We'll switch it up. We'll go from this side a little bit. Lions 4-0 versus the Cowboys. Cowboys will win this one. First Lions loss of the year. Tough, you know. Sorry, mile marker. These are some fun matchups too. This could be a Dak Prescott goes crazy game, right? It might have to be between Dak and CD, but it's in the cards. Speaking of the cards, you know what? Cardinals upset over the Packers. Let's do it. Why not? Cardinals upset over the Packers. Nick is back. Dude, we've been cooking for so long that Nick is back. We've finished our team breakdowns. We're out here picking these games now. We're going to go through the regular season kind of quickly because then for the playoffs, we're going to have some fun once we get to the playoffs. Going to do the playoffs, have some fun, and then call it a night. Dallas is the game the Lions fans are especially ready to see. Oh, after the Dan Skipper business last year, I don't blame you. And I mean, even if you go back to 2014, the whole picking up the pass interference flag, yeah, I get it. It's a lot of stock in the Cowboys. Let's just say they don't have a good record versus over 500 teams. I will give you that, right? I will give you that. They did beat the Lions last year. We'll see. But the Lions are probably better, and the Cowboys are probably the same, if not a little bit worse. We'll go 49ers over the Seahawks. This one is interesting. This could be a fun Mike Macdonald test, right? Like, Mike Macdonald did beat Kyle Shanahan over the head with a cartoon mallet last year when they played on Christmas Day. But again, the Seahawks team isn't quite as good defensively as the Ravens were. Knowing how my Bills troll, I expect us to lose these games to full off tomfoolery. Jags, Titans, Seahawks, Colts, and one of the Patriots games. I could see it. Decker reported. Yeah, you know what? Maybe he did. Bengals, Giants, Bengals, Browns, Eagles. Eagles are 5-0. My goodness, that's crazy. They could lose week 1 for all we know, and then it's like they don't start 5-0. But these are just, fun little predictions, right? Commanders, Ravens, we'll go Ravens. Jags, Bears. Oh. We'll go with the Jags. All right, Jags, Patriots, Jags. Dolphins, Colts. Titans, Bills, going a lot of home teams here. You know what? We're actually going to go with the Browns, and that's crazy. But the Browns kind of have had the Bengals number, and I still am a little worried about that offensive line, and it is in Cleveland. We're going to go with the Browns here. I'm honestly kind of surprised the Browns have as many wins as they do, and maybe I'm a little low on the Ravens for them to be at 3-3 right now, but I'm sure that'll even out at some point. Ravens do have a brutal schedule this year, too. Jets, Steelers. Ooh, this one's a tough one to figure out. I'm going to go with the Steelers. They seem to thrive on these kind of like, I don't know, like just they seem to make teams kind of like hit their floor a little bit. I could see that like, oh, the Jets have a stinker, They're 4-3. They're hanging around here. Broncos, Saints. We'll go Broncos here. How about that? Texans, Packers. Raiders, Rams. Chiefs, 49ers. Chiefs. Man, the Chiefs keep winning. Stupidity asking if I'll pick the Titans or Panthers to win a game first. Yeah. Well, I think I see my first Panthers win. We'll see if the Titans can get it done. Do they have a bye right now? They might. I don't think I see them out there unless I'm blind. Well, here's a Ravens win, right? Over the Bucks. I feel like all the AFC North teams are going to go 1-1 with each other. I could see it, right? A little division cannibalism. Chargers, Cardinals. Give me the Cardinals. Cardinals hanging around a little bit. Lions, Vikings. Vikings in an upset. Let's go. They're going to split. Mark my words, they're going to split. We're going to have a Justin Jefferson 200-yard game. Justin Jefferson goes off against the Lions. It's not often I'm going to pick the Vikings for an upset, but we're going to split. We'll split and we'll win at home coming off our bye. All right. Yeah, honestly, the schedule makers did cook. Like, we've got nice balanced weeks, good games spread throughout. Falcons, Seahawks. Why do I want to pick the Seahawks? Nah, I'll go with the Falcons. Giants, Eagles. Eagles 6-0. That's crazy. And here's the Panthers' first win. Man, the Panthers and Saints are 1-6. Man, I will say this happens sometimes that like things get a little unbalanced and I just keep picking against teams. This mile marker hits him with the oofta. Stupidity says, I think the best part of these full season picks is figuring out the worst team. Yeah, we're going to see, won't we? Laywell saying, yes, sir, go Chiefs. I'll end on that one before I see you pick up against them. Catch me in the next stream. Thank you for joining me, Laywell. Pleasure to have you as always. And I tell you what, the next time you see me, your Chiefs are probably going to be out there on the field week 1. So thank you for joining me, though. Always good to have you. All right, we'll go with the Texans at home over the Colts. That seems fair enough, right? You know what? Give me a Ravens win over the Browns, and things are really starting to look interesting here in the AFC North now. I'll give the Jets a win over the Patriots. Patriots 1-7. Oh, boy. Upset alert. Raiders at home beat the Chiefs. That seems to be a thing that kind of happens, right? How about it? Let's do it. They're not going to win every game. Laywell got out just in time. Packers, Jaguars, Packers. Cardinals, Dolphins. Part of me wants to go Cardinals. I can't. No. The Dolphins, this will be a Tyreek Hill 200-yard game right here against this Cardinals defense. This is a game that the Dolphins for sure can win, and it's at home too. Man, the poor Titans still haven't gotten a win yet. I'm so sorry, Tennessee. I don't actually think they're going to start 0-7, so maybe I just need to mix in an upset in there for them. I don't think that this is a team that starts 0-7. That's just crazy to me. They must have a brutal schedule, I guess. They'll probably find a way to win one of these games, but I'm picking what I'm picking. So, Daddy Messi says, I think the Raiders beat the Chiefs, but an Arrowhead later in the season. Hey, they did that last year, right? I feel like that's the Raiders' special role is upsetting the Chiefs. Bills, Seahawks, Bills 7-1. That's crazy. Believe in myself, Titans 0-7. All right, let's stand on business. Chargers, Saints, Chargers. Man, the Saints are 1-7 too. Panthers, Broncos, Panthers. Eagles, Bengals. There's the Eagles' first loss right there. Bengals, it's a Joey B masterclass in the jungle. Jamar Chase, 200 yards. Giants, Steelers. I'm worried about this Giants offensive line versus the Steelers. Vikings, Rams. This will be a Rams win. I feel pretty confident about that. And I think the Vikings play the Colts next week. I think they'll lose that game too. I think that both of these teams could rush for a lot of yards on the Vikings. That's a big concern of mine. Falcons, Bucks, as promised. We got the splits. Tampa winning in Tampa. Bears, Commanders. Bears. Cowboys, Niners over the Cowboys, like clockwork. We're moving along. We're almost halfway through the regular season now. The playoff picture starting to shape up a little bit. We've got some interesting races. Look at the AFC North all having winning records again. Look at this interesting AFC South race, right? Look at the Chiefs and the Bills battling for the 1 seed. Look at the Eagles at 6-1. We got the Lions and all them. Look at that. Lions, Packers, Rams, 49ers. Nice races all across the board. We're going to have a Texans win right here, 6-3 over the Jets on Thursday Night Football. Jamathan asking, is there any feeling in the world that the Chiefs will struggle awkwardly in the regular season and become the greatest show on turf just like last season because of the L'Jarius loss? I don't think it's nothing, right? Again, they got to have someone to play outside corner, right? McDuffie is awesome, but that's not really his forte. You like him more in the slot or even as a safety sometimes. Joshua Williams is the guy that they're counting on to step up. I don't think he'll be as good as Snead. Can he be playable? That's probably their goal. I think they will just be better on offense that'll probably overset that with the receivers that they brought in. And, bringing back Juju wasn't nothing either because they needed a big body, true X guy that can play on the line of scrimmage and beat press coverage and block a little bit and be a possession guy. And Juju, he wasn't that great with the Patriots, but I think he can carve out a nice role for himself with the Chiefs there. They need a receiver like him. So I kind of like that move a little bit. Here's a Titans win. There we go. The Titans win. The Titans win. The Titans win. Oh, it's going crazy in Nashville. They beat the Browns and Lions allegations. It's incredible. Daddy Messi saying he thinks that the Chiefs will be up and down in the regular season, but will make at least a championship game. Yeah, I don't know. This might be the best Chiefs team under Reid and Mahomes. It's so balanced. I could see a world, though, where they do fool around a little bit and lose 5 games, but we'll see. As promised, Bills sweeping the Dolphins. 8-1 for the Bills is crazy. Wow. Raiders, Bengals. Broncos Ravens. Chargers, Browns. How about the Chargers in an upset? Chargers 5-3. That's shocking. That's shocking. I don't know. You know what? No, I picked the Chargers. I'm sticking with it. As soon as I said, I was like, dude, the Browns are a better team. They're going to win. I'm sticking with it. It's not always chalk. Colts over Vikings. Jaguars, Eagles. Jaguars. Here they come. Bucks, Chiefs. I have a video about this matchup. That's crazy. You know what? Washington wins. Can we get an NFC South update? Oh, shoot. Yeah, you can't see the screen, can you? You know, we got a little bit of a race here in the NFC South. 4-4, 4-5. These two teams are in the mix here. Yeah, thank you for that. My webcam is kind of blocking some of the standings a little bit. So here's the division standings that you might not be able to see. Jamathan saying, I agree with that, but you can see them trolling and losing games like the Saints, Bucks, Falcons, Raiders, once, and Steelers. Oh, I mean, there's always potential for trolling, right? This is the NFL, baby. This is why we play the games. Cowboys, Falcons. Cowboys. Saints, Panthers. Here's a Saints win, right? Bears. I thought about the Cardinals for a sec. Rams, Seahawks. Lions, Packers in Lambeau. This is, I believe, the first outdoor game of the season for the Lions, and then they don't play another one until like September or something ridiculous like that. All right, Week 10, here we go. I think I lagged for a little bit. Hopefully it's catching up. All right, good. Got a little scared. I don't have to worry about the battery anymore with the new computer, which is nice. I did have to worry about the internet earlier. Man, that feels like so long ago, but we're having a freaking night. All right. We'll go with the Ravens splitting with the Bengals here. Oh, look at that. 7-3. We got a nice little race for the AFC North. I think this is probably one of the most realistic things that's happened so far. Broncos, Chiefs. Bills, Colts. Down go the Bills. The Colts win again. They're 7-3. My heavens. Wow. All right. We'll go with the Titans over the Chargers. Nice little improved offensive line bowl right there. This was a fun game last year, too. Titans with the shocking upset. Bears, Patriots. You know what? How about the Pats? All right. Commanders, Steelers. Man, Commanders 2-8. They're not last in the division. I said I thought the Commanders are going to be the worst team. They do not have the worst record right now. That's crazy. Vikings, Jaguars. You know what? Vikings. NFC South. Let me scroll down here a little bit. It's 4-5 and 4-5. And the Falcons have the lead right now on the virtue of just playing more division games. I think these two teams have split as well. There you go, Ryan Nasty. Look at that. The Buccaneers are hanging tough, man. If the Falcons are 4-5 right now, there's going to be some conversations. Jamathan also saying, I just realized we're getting the Sean Payton Bowl and the Har Bowl this season. Definitely missing some other storyline. Maddox. Yeah. Oh, I love the Har Bowl. That's going to be on Monday Night Football too, I believe. That's going to be fun. It is the classic NFC South, isn't it? All right. Jets, Cardinals. Jets. Lions, Texans. We'll go with the Texans here. Look at the race for the AFC South. Lions are 5-4. That's crazy. They're better than that. Man, 5-4. Dolphins, Rams. We'll go with the Dolphins here. I think the Dolphins can win this game. Monday night, too. You know, all right, that'll be a fun one. I'm excited. I'll try and stream for that one. I mean, I'm going to try and stream for a lot of these primetime games, but I'll go with the Dolphins over the Rams. Giants, Panthers, Giants. Dexter Lawrence takeover, baby. Falcons over the Saints. 49ers, Bucks. We'll go Niners. And then Eagles, Cowboys. A big game. I'm going to go with the Eagles. Running game, baby. Running game. Yes, we are. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even realize that. That is crazy. Well, I'm sure they've got some wins coming. All right. Raiders, Dolphins. I will go with the Dolphins here. Backyard brawl action. Ravens, Steelers. Ravens. I thought about the Steelers. Go with the Bengals over the Chargers. Chiefs, Bills. Chiefs 9-1. Colts, Jets. Go with the Jets. Vikings, Titans. Vikings. Man, the Titans just can't catch a break. They're 2-8. Browns and Saints. You know what? We'll go with the Saints. I don't know. This could be like a Deshaun Watson meltdown game. I feel like we're locking in a little bit more here. All right. Rams, Patriots, Rams, Jaguars, Lions, Lions. There we go. See? Lions offensive masterclass. There we go. They're back in it. Falcons, Broncos, Falcons, Cowboys, Texans, Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys. Commanders, Eagles, Eagles, Bears, Packers, Packers. This will be a fun one. I was hoping this was going to be a Thanksgiving matchup. All right, Seahawks, Niners. You know, we'll give the Seahawks a win here. Kind of weird that they go to, not Candlestick. I wanted to say Candlestick. Levi's and win. But you know what? Let's do it. All right. Steelers, Browns, Browns. Nah. That would have been crazy. I thought about it. There is always a little bit of AFC South tomfoolery, right? We talked about that during the draft stream. We'll go with the Dolphins over the Patriots. Broncos, Raiders. Broncos. Ravens. Lions, Chiefs. Here we go. We're starting to lock in a little bit. I really want to get to the playoffs. We're going to have some fun in the playoffs. I'll scroll down here for a standings update once we hit this last row of games right here. We'll go Bears over Vikings. We'll go Bucks over Giants. We'll go Commanders upset. There's always a little bit of Cowboys silliness, right? Commanders upset. Cardinals over Seahawks. 49ers and Packers, Niners. And then the Rams and the Eagles. We're going to go with the Rams. All right, here's a little AFC South and NFC North standing update right here. 7-4, 7-4 for the Lions. Lions 0-2 in the division. Bit of a shocker, but they're right there with the Packers and the Falcons. 6-5, leading the NFC South. All right. Got a good race in the AFC South as well. Week 13. Chiefs, man, they just keep winning. This was the Raiders split, right? All right. Colts, Patriots, Colts. We'll go with the Steelers over the Bengals. Jaguars, Texans, Jaguars. Upset in Duval coming off the bye. They did it last year. They can do it again this year. Browns, Broncos. Browns. Dolphins, Packers, Packers. Chargers, Falcons. Give me the Chargers. Give me the Chargers. 6-6. All right. Seahawks, Jets. Seahawks. Commanders, Titans, Titans. Eagles over the Ravens. And we'll go Bills over 49ers. Lions over Bears. Cowboys. Oh, I'm going to go with the Cardinals for over the Vikings. Again, that run defense just scares me a little bit. And this Cardinals rushing offense, ever since they got Kyler Murray back, they were number 1 in rushing EPA. Him and James Conner were so good, and that line is promising. And they got Marv. All right. Rams, Saints. This was a Thursday night game last year. I remember streaming this game. The Rams went crazy. Bucks, Panthers. Panthers, upset. Week 14, here we go. Jaguars, Titans, Jags. We're going to go with the Steelers over the Browns. We're going to go with the Jets over the Dolphins. We're going to go with the Chargers upset over the Chiefs, 11-2. All right, 11-2. Bucks. Ooh, this one's good. This is a good game right here. Oh, I'm excited for this one. Mark your calendars for week 14. And the Bills get a big win over the Rams, who are hanging tough with the 49ers. The Bengals get a big win over the Cowboys. The Lions get a big win over the Packers. The Vikings beat Kirk Cousins in his return to Minnesota. I actually think this might happen. I think the Vikings are going to have some diabolical pressures schemed up, right? Kirk Cousins is great, but they're going to get after the quarterback. And you know what? The vibes are just right. I have said from the moment this game was on the schedule, the Vikings are going to win this game. We might not win a lot, but I think we're going to win this one. Kirk's return. And it kind of hurts my feelings that it's not in prime time. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. We'll go with the Saints over the Giants. Goodness, they're 2-11. Wow. Eagles over the Panthers. We'll go with the Seahawks over the Cardinals. And then the Bears over the 49ers. Man. All right, few more weeks to go, then we're going to get to the playoffs. Shout out everyone for riding this out. All right, Texans, Dolphins, Texans. Bengals, the Brian Callahan Bowl. We'll go with the Jets over the Jags. We'll go with the Chiefs over the Browns, Colts over the Broncos, Ravens. I almost said Chargers. Buccaneers. Man, all right. Patriots over Cardinals. Drake May, he'll be in at this point. There we go. Drake May. All right. Lions over the Bills. Here come the Lions. They're heating up, folks. Here they come. Steelers over the Eagles. Falcons over the Raiders. Oh, this is a big game right here, and the 49ers are going to pull it out. Thursday night. Oh, this will be a fun one. This game might mean a lot in the standings. We'll go with the Saints. We'll go with the Cowboys. We'll go with the Packers, and we'll go with the Bears. The Bears are into a playoff spot. All right. Man, a few 3-11 teams. All right, we'll have the Bengals split with the Browns. How about this race? You know what? Chiefs. Again, they keep winning. They're 13-2. Ravens, Colts, Bills, Broncos, Jaguars, Rams, 49ers, Lions, Falcons, Commanders. Why not? That's crazy. There's no way. No. I had to talk myself down from that. All right. Cardinals, Seahawks, Bucks, and Packers. 2 more weeks to go. Chiefs win again. Ravens. Hey, they beat them twice last year. Broncos and the Bengals. Bengals. Chargers. Jaguars. Bills. Browns in Cleveland. Colts. Raiders and Saints. We'll go with the Saints. Seahawks. Rams. Falcons. Packers. Bucks. Eagles. Lions. All right. One more week of the regular season. Here we go. It's all divisional matchups. Here's what we're looking at for the standings. We have the Chiefs, who have locked up the first seed and home field advantage. They're 14-2. They're going to rest their starters and lose. All right. 14-3. Very, very successful season for the Chiefs. I think this is very, very possible. The Bills have locked up the AFC East. I think they're going to win the division. I really do. 12-4. Maybe a slightly bit aggressive, but you know what? They're fighting for their playoff seeding. 13-4 for the Bills. That's a lot, but wow. We'll take it. We've got a big, big battle here in the AFC North. The Ravens and the Bengals fighting it out. They're both going to win. And the Ravens end up winning the division. That would be crazy if they both go 13-4. That would be crazy. We got the Dolphins and we got the Jets. And the Dolphins play spoiler and the Jets miss the playoffs. Oh no. Man, that would be heartbreaking for the Jets. All right, here we go. Seahawks versus Rams. The Seahawks are fighting for their playoff lives. The Rams are fighting for the division. And the Rams take the lead in the division. But the 49ers answer back. 49ers, by the skin of their teeth, win the division. I think it's very possible. I think these two teams are going to be in it till the very end. We got the Packers and the Bears. The Packers need this one. So do the Bears. The Bears win. The Bears still kind of have a pulse for the playoffs, depending on the tiebreaker. We're going to save this one for last. Dang, is it really Jags and Colts for the division? That's crazy. Oh, and there's the Texans too. Texans win. And the Colts win. I said we'd save it for the last. I honestly do have the Colts winning the AFC South. That's my spicy take. I don't think it's a guarantee, but I like the way they match up with some of these AFC South teams, and there's just a sky-high potential. I mean, they almost made the playoffs last year. I think there's a very good chance. Again, maybe some of the records are wonky, but I'm liking the order of a lot of these divisions. That's what I'll say for sure. All right, we're going to go with the Raiders over the Chargers. And we'll see if this is the official season prediction that I send in the group chat. But I'm liking this, right? This is a classic. All right, here we go. Cowboys, Commanders, Cowboys win. Can they keep their playoff hopes alive? Bucks, oh baby, look at this. It's the Bucks and the Falcons fighting for the playoffs, and they both win. Oh man, that would be crazy. I do think the Falcons are going to win the division, though. It is very Jets-esque, isn't it? Vikings, Lions, Lions. Giants, Eagles, Eagles. All right, here we go. We finally made it to the playoffs. We've finally made it to the playoffs. It has been about 3 hours. It has been an unbelievable journey, but we have made it to the NFL playoffs. Here we go. Welcome to Wild Card Weekend. It's bigger and better than ever, right? We have 3 games in each conference now, 6 games in one super weekend. We have Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Let's take it down to the field. Here we go. First game of the playoffs. It's the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are the darlings of the football world. Shane Steichen is about to win Coach of the Year. Anthony Richardson has been a revelation at quarterback. The running game is sublime. The offense is great. The defense has overachieved. They've got a ferocious pass rush. And they are hosting the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burr. The aura is off the charts. Jamar Chase in line to win Offensive Player of the Year. They've had an unbelievable connection. Some are saying that it's do or die time for the Bengals as contracts continue to pile up, as T. Higgins' situation murkies up. Questions are swirling. Can the Bengals do it? Is this their last ride? Or can these upstart Colts win? Can these upstart Colts show that they're more than just a flash in the pan? The Bengals win. They're moving on to the divisional round. It's a historic and fun season for the Colts, but it ends to the hands of the Bengals. We have a playoff rematch of last year. It's the Texans versus the Ravens back at the bank, M&T Bank Stadium, down in Maryland, in Baltimore. It's a rough, hostile environment. The Ravens are fired up. They managed to win the division again. Rumors of their demise were maybe greatly exaggerated. There are YouTubers worried about the loss of Mike McDonald that yet still gave them like 13 wins on the season. Here they are hosting a playoff game against the Texans, and they do it again. They beat the Texans again. They've now won 4 times against the Texans in the past 2 years. History repeats itself. This same YouTuber said, there's maybe just a chance that after all this, the Bills are hosting another playoff game. Maybe just after all, the Bills are going to be okay. And after getting the 2nd seed in the AFC, it appears that if that is the case, and they're going up against the same YouTuber's beloved Jacksonville Jaguars, who once rocketed him to fame with The Good Place. Trevor Lawrence has answered the critics. He is a good quarterback after all. Brian Thomas has been an explosive receiver. The defense has been fun and exciting. But it ends. The Bills are just too much. And there's no miracle this time for Trevor Lawrence. The Bills move on. And we've got a lot of blue bloods. It's a lot of familiar faces here in the AFC playoffs as the Chiefs await their next challenger. Now over to the NFC. It's the Rams and the Falcons. It's the Zach Robinson Bowl. It's Kirko versus Stafford. This is some real under-center, play-action heavy football right here. Both these offenses are fun and exciting. Both these defenses are intriguing, but maybe a little bit questionable. And I tell you what, I think we're going to see a lot of points. This is the first ever playoff game in Mercedes-Benz Stadium history. And in typical Falcons fashion, they're going to lose. The Rams avenge their wild card loss from last year. This time they get the job done and move on, and things are starting to heat up here, aren't they? Talk about a playoff rematch. How about the Packers versus the 49ers? Oh, it seems that we see this matchup every year, don't we? You want to talk about another coaching battle? Old friends, now enemies. It's Anakin versus Obi-Wan. It's Matt LaFleur versus Kyle Shanahan. It's back in the Bay Area. The Jordan Love late interception haunts these Packers. It plays over and over and over again in their minds. What could they have done differently? If Love didn't throw across his body, could they have won that game? Could they have gone on and upset the Lions? They beat them on Thanksgiving. They've had a whole year to think about that. And this time they get it done. Josh Jacobs runs wild, going for 150 yards as the 49ers get a taste of their own medicine after running rampant on the Packers for years and years and years in the playoffs. After the Raheem Mostert game, the Colin Kaepernick masterclasses, after last year eking it out against all odds, the Packers exercise some demons. They're moving on to the divisional round. One final game of the wild card. It's another playoff rematch. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into a hostile Ford Field, and the Lions ended up being at 13-4 after all this. After all this, they look like one of the best teams in football. They're hot at the right time, and they leave no doubt the Lions win big onto the divisional round. Stupidity saying, nah, Packers win is crazy. Can't you see it, though? I'm a little worried about this 49ers run defense, and maybe that's a silly thing to hyperfixate on, but it almost cost them the game last year. I mean, Aaron Jones went crazy on them, and then they lose Eric Armstead. I think it's very possible. I think this Packers team is pretty darn good. Take it from a Vikings fan. Here we go, divisional round. Maybe the best weekend in football, right? You've got 4 banger games, so many just incredible moments, right? You've got the Minneapolis Miracle. You've got the greatest game, or the game that no one should have lost. You've got the Immaculate Reception, all these great moments. This is football history right here, and we have some fantastic teams. Ravens, Bills, in Orchard Park, the snow is falling in Buffalo, and the Buffalo teams of yesteryear might have folded in a situation like this. They might have not been able to run the ball. You might think back to their game against the Bengals a few years ago. Joe Mixon going crazy in the snow. The Bills' offense falling flat. Not this time. This is a different Bills. They run the ball. They brave the elements. And they eke an ugly one out against the Ravens. 20-17. And after all that, they're back in the AFC Championship game. They're back in the AFC Championship game. Oh, it won't be another one of those, will it? It's the Bengals and the Chiefs. And these teams, oh, we know what happens when they get together. There will be trash talk. There is real hatred in this rivalry. You know, a lot of people like to talk about the Chiefs and the Bills rivalry, and that's been phenomenal. We've seen some fantastic games. But that is a much more respectful rivalry. This is real hate. This is trash talk. Ja'Marr Chase won't even say Patrick Mahomes' name in the top 100 list. I'm not going to say his name. They call it Burrowhead. Travis Kelce tells them to shut their mouth and know their role. The Cincinnati mayor gets involved. It's this all over again times 10. And after all that, the Chiefs somehow do it again. They seem to be invincible. They're a juggernaut. This looks like maybe the best Chiefs team yet. And crazy thoughts go through people's minds. Can they really do it? Can they be the first ever team to three-peat? They're a few wins away from history. Oh, Matthew Stafford is back. Man, we've got a lot of reruns, but can you really complain with some of the matchups that we're getting? Can you really complain? This was one of the best games of the playoffs last year. It's the Rams and the Lions all over again. Offensive football at its highest form, back at Ford Field. And just like last time, Jared Goff is good enough for Detroit, and the Lions move on again, proving once and for all that maybe they didn't lose the trade. Maybe it was a win-win after all. Maybe it was a win-win after all. One final game. It's the Packers versus the Eagles. The Eagles, the 1 seed. The 1 seed. Who would have thought to go from the 1 seed to the epic collapse and losing in the wild card back to the 1 seed? But here they are. They've got Saquon Barkley. They can still run the freaking rock. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and an improved defense. But this Packers team, they've just got something. And they've got a stone-faced killer assassin at quarterback, Jordan Love, who walks into Philly and snatches their chain. And they're moving on to an all-NFC North NFC Championship game, as there are rumors of a Lake Erie Super Bowl that would feed generations. How about this for a conference championship round? In one corner, you have the classic. We've seen this in the playoffs so many times. There's been thrilling moments. There's been heartbreak. There's been points. There's been hard hits. It's the two best quarterbacks in the world. And sometimes there's YouTubers in the basement of their townhome that like to say quarterbacks are overrated, overvalued, or whatever. And maybe he has a few merits to those points. But sometimes you get a game like this. Two of the best at their craft. It's the Chiefs in Arrowhead versus the Bills. Jamathan isn't sure if he could take another Chiefs-Bills playoff match. His heart hurts. It hurts. Will the hurt continue? Can Buffalo finally triumph over their evil arch nemesis? No. Sometimes there are no miracles. Sometimes the bad guys win. The Chiefs have become the very thing they swore to destroy. They have become the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick Patriots. That old matchup seems like a long time ago, 2018, when the whole world was rooting for the Chiefs to beat the Patriots. The Chiefs were the lovable heroes. It feels like a long time ago now. The Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl. America doesn't like it. They're not happy. Sometimes that's just the way the ball bounces. The Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl again. We still got one more game in the conference championship round. It's the Lions and it's the Packers, and Ford Field gets another playoff game. An NFC championship game in Ford Field. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? These two teams split earlier on in the year. And man, again, high-level offense and sneaky good defense. These are maybe two of the best teams in the NFC. Don't let that 6 seed fool you. The Packers aren't going to just come in here and roll over. History often has favored the Packers. Some say that God loves the Packers and hates the Lions. But today is not that day. The Lions move on to the Super Bowl for the first time in franchise history. The Lions are inches away from the most glorious triumph in their entire existence. And all that stands in their way is the Kansas City Chiefs. Here we go. This is the Super Bowl that we deserve. It is a rematch of a classic opening game that we saw. And man, this one feels like a long time ago too, doesn't it? You know, Mike Tirico once said that this win should come with an asterisk because Chris Jones didn't play. Travis Kelce didn't play. Well, those two guys are here now. This is the most insane juxtaposition of Super Bowl teams. In one corner, you have the Kansas City Chiefs going for that three-peat. They are now mere inches away. They are 60 minutes away from maybe the crowning achievement, cementing themselves as the biggest dynasty in the sport. 3 in a row, 4 in the last 5 years in the salary cap era. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Unprecedented. We may never see a run like this ever again, whether the Chiefs win or lose. So we must appreciate it. And even if we don't like him, we can't help but respect him. Here come the Lions. America is on their back. The Lions are trying to do the unthinkable and win the Super Bowl. This is a team that lost every single game in the regular season. This is a team known as the NFL lovable loser. They've seen guys leave early, generational talents. Barry Sanders left early. He couldn't take it. Calvin Johnson left early. He couldn't take it. Matthew Stafford got traded away. He couldn't take it. They had to watch their franchise quarterback win a Super Bowl the first year away from the team. The Detroit Lions are your Super Bowl champions. The Detroit Lions, for the first time in franchise history, roar louder than any other team in the sport. And for the first time ever, the Detroit Lions are the kings of the jungle and they're the kings of the gridiron. This might just be the very best team in football, top to bottom. I thought about it for a few weeks now, and my heart is set. This is a Super Bowl team right here. The coaching staff is A+. Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. Jared Goff is good enough for Detroit. They've got a 1-2 punch in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Amon-Ra St. Brown, high-level wide receiver. Jameson Williams, there might be something there with him. Sam Laporta, top 3, top 2 maybe even, tight end. Offensive line, great across the board. Defense, much improved. I mean, look at the defensive line. Look at the improvements in the secondary. And mile marker is right. It's one pride worldwide. And Taylor Decker beats Taylor Swift. It's a storybook ending. The script writers have cooked. And you know what? Maybe not all the records here are perfect. Maybe I'll tweak things a little bit. But this is my official Dr. Pigskin Super Bowl prediction. Lions over Chiefs. Lock it in. This is my pick until they say they can't play any games anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an unbelievable season of football upon us. And I want to thank you guys all so much for tuning in for what has been an unbelievable, unfathomable, over 3-hour stream. We survived the internet going down, but we rallied. I had so much fun. It's almost midnight. I've got to work tomorrow, but I want to thank you guys all so much for coming in here. This was a lot of fun. Michael Doty ripping the MCDC Dan Campbell diaper quote. And you know what? Keep that quote in mind, Michael, because my next video might explore not necessarily diapers, but the context of maybe that quote. I am in on the Lions this year. They are my Super Bowl pick. Here we go. I will not forget about the pick'ems. Thank you for the reminder. I almost did. I will drop the link in the community post. I'll post it on Twitter too. Please join the pick'em challenge if you're into that kind of stuff. And again, winner at the end of the season, we'll get a little prize. I'll come up with a nice little prize, but it's free to enter, right? Everyone's welcome to do it. Just make your picks each week. We're going to have some fun this year. Football is so close to being back. You can taste it. We're going to be watching a lot of games, a lot of pregame streams. It is going to be a good time. Gabe asking who's the Super Bowl MVP. He was cast off from the Rams. He was seen as not good enough. He was mocked and ridiculed. He had to watch his successor win a Super Bowl while he toiled away on a poor Detroit team. It's Jared Goff. Jared Goff, from zero to hero, Super Bowl MVP for the Lions. Who would have thought they're going to make a 30 for 30 about it? Go Bison. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all next time. Love you guys so much. And one more time, go Bison. Beat Dion. Let's go.